and Facebook at One Mic Show. On panel with me tonight is Mr. One Mic Kamakawa. Sports anchor Mika Och might be there. He might not be joining us. We're not sure. And our resident DJ Moshfire will be live on the decks. Our producer is none other than Mubelo Bandio. And we're going to get started right away. And today it's going to be another easy Friday. We have an easy topic to talk about, a light topic to talk about. We're looking for contribution from all our listeners. I want to welcome Slay Odwar, Karibu Sana. I can also see Resa Muchaches in the building, Karibu Sana. And who else is in the building? Barbara Odhiambo, Karibu Sana. And there was a question that I started by asking. Has any of you, and this I'm addressing to our audience, has any of you experienced childhood poverty, or maybe know what childhood poverty is? We want to begin, by defining and describing what childhood poverty is, because poverty is relative. What is considered poor in one part of the world is not poor in another part of the world. I want to first start by welcoming DJ Moshfire. DJ, karibu sana.
Asante sana.
Okay, welcome. And I also want to welcome Steven JJ. Anasema tuko Ndinos Mbaya. Okay. Haya, sawa, karibu sana Steven
Is
JJ.
that another way of saying Dani?
Yeah? Yes, it's another way of saying Dani. Ama labda maybe Steven JJ akona definition ingine atuambie. But today we're going to be talking about poverty. Lately there's been this trend of influencers, socialites, politicians, ex-politicians, like going on social media, showing bundles of money, showing jewelry, showing cars, and just like throwing things to show that they're wealthy, which is what it's been happening. I mean, it's not a new thing. We also sometimes see it here in America. It used to be very popular within the hip-hop culture, like even in the music
started
videos.
Getting jacked.
Yes, and even in the music videos. So let me get started with you, Omosh. Childhood poverty, maybe give us your experience. Is this something that maybe even if not necessarily that you experienced it, but is it something that you may have seen with people experiencing poverty in childhood, and how did it look like?
My definition of childhood poverty, and I think that's where the problem, you asked me this question earlier, and I didn't know even how to answer it, because to me, from my perspective, I never experienced childhood poverty growing up.
Mm-hmm.
I think, to be honest...
So you guys were rich?
We were provided for. Everything that we needed was provided for.
Okay.
And by that, I mean the basics. There was a roof over the head. You had food, water, blah blah. Sijui vitu kama sijui kukula chapo, sijui nini. Those things were there, at least. Something that I didn't grow up with, which some people may find crazy. Birthday parties, sijui birthdays, sijui makeki.
So what would happen during your birthday?
Sasa unajipanga na Buddha.
Okay.
Unaenda kwa ofisi yake.
Yeah.
Now, when you go over there, sasa you go.
Soda.
Yes, you go. You state your case. In fact, you even bought for stuff.
Okay.
But the deal is, ukienda home.
Yeah. Umenyamaza.
Na unaambiwa unyamaze.
So unaenda kwa Buddha una justify. This is why I deserve soda.
Lakini si anajua ni birthday yako.
Okay.
Lakini hiyo sherehe ya watoi kama 6.
Yeah.
Ati siji kila mtu atafanywa sherehe yake.
Candles nini.
Ati siji birthday, siji invite the neighbors.
Madwiti, makeki.
Boss, didn't happen.
Okay.
Sijui baiskeli kwa nyumba.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Didn't happen. Sijui Lego. Didn't happen.
Sweet 16 car.
What?
Well, there's some people who consider themselves poor because they never got a car.
So that's why I say again, the definition it can vary. But then, from a realistical standpoint, then I look at my relatives who lived on the other side of the river. Because us guys, we didn't live on the Eastland side, even though I spent quite a lot of time in Eastlands because of my relatives.
Okay.
So I was the designated, caregiver with my sisters.
Okay.
When it came to Nywele, Kushukwa, sijui nini.
Okay.
And of course that auntie who does that.
Ulikuwa unashuka nywele?
ngoja kwanza sinimalize story.
Oh, sorry. Umesema ulikuwa
I was the designated caregiver, meaning
like taking them to the salon or taking them to the mama kushuka.
Nilikuwa napeleka Salem na huyo mama kushuka was an aunt, like my dad's first cousin.
Yeah.
So yendi alikuwa nashuka. That was so mimi ndio nilikuwa naenda nao Islando, Salem, and then kurudi kupanda basi nini it's me. Hiyo ndio ilikuwa kazi yangu.
Yeah.
And of course when you go there now you have to adjust. But you see a totally different side of the world when when you go to that side, and other Relas who lived in different parts.
What made that different?
So what was the difference
that you saw?
What was difference was just ile concept ya kuwa na choo kwa nyumba.
Okay.
They didn't have, because ilikuwa zile nyumba za kupanga, what do we call it? Nyumba za Waswahili. See, is that what it's called? Ile you share a common bathroom.
Yes.
Common
like
kitchen.
In Kisauni, you'll have those.
So then every renter has their own room.
Yeah,
but
kama pia Shauri Moyo had those houses where you would share,
yes,
like bathroom facilities, for example.
And it was like a courtyard. So there was a common courtyard, and pretty much that's where all the neighbors spent, so each I guess whatever block you want to call it, ilikuwa na choo yake na ilikuwa na ka jikoni, or akalika kitchenette, if that's what you want to call it, right? Lakini so I saw that was the first time for me to see that hizo ni vitu tukwaga nazo kwa nyumba, so you're like hapa vitu ni tofauti, alafu ni room moja na hii room moja division ni curtain.
Ni curtain.
Yes.
So curtain ina separate bedroom ya dad and mom.
Yeah. Na adults, alafu inikaa watoi atawana bedroom, because it separates the bedroom or the big bed and then the kasofa.
Okay.
Juu sasa pale watoi wanalala, now it's up to you to wonder. And if they could find space, then maybe there was a kadabodeka kwa kona.
Okay.
Which was next, a room.
Okay.
Next to nothing. So for me, that was me witnessing poverty or seeing it from the other side of the world. Unless Ocha was a different story.
Okay, we're talking about childhood poverty. The number to call is 202-683-4570 *5 to speak. Now, does childhood poverty have an impact on how you relate to wealth in your adult status? Not necessarily even being a millionaire, just like having wealth. You're talking about people who are living in spaces where bathroom facilities were being shared, kitchens were being shared. I know places where there were no bathroom facilities. There were not even bathroom facilities to share. There were no, like kitchen facilities. It was like you want to go, you go out, or you go out somewhere and you go throw it somewhere. So that's like
amount of chimba.
Yes, exactly. That's something that we know. In some parts of Nairobi, there's that type of poverty. I want to welcome Uno Mike and maybe talk to us about maybe what experiences that you know of as far as childhood poverty is concerned, or maybe things that you saw, like in your childhood with other people who may not have been as privileged. Uno Mike.
Unajua, by the way, Slay, nitakucheki nyume ya tent. But it was an interesting conversation that we were having prior to the show beginning, because now there's the definition of what is childhood poverty, and that one varies. Because, some people not having a car, for them probably was poverty, I'm not having a bike. But for me, I think I'm with Omosh, vitu kama my birthdays, it's things you'd hear.
Okay.
Like,
or a loose invitation.
Loose.
But even that one, even to be agreed to go for, was hard, because that means
you have to be invited.
Yeah, but and you see, invitations are reciprocated. So if you can't reciprocate, who's inviting you?
Now there's a time to look at Nakaumo, then they decided to move us to Westlands.
Moved on up.
Ongem.
Even before Ongem, there's a place called Westlands Court.
Oh,
okay.
Gated.
All right.
Got there.
Okay.
So natoka umo,
watoto wa Getikali,
unaingia huku. Sasa you're like, what?
Different life,
different life, levels, bro,
yes.
levels.
Hata accent imechange.
Gathe, sijui cricket. Check, metoka kucheki bano, brikisho, mnacheki chaba, cops and robbers, nini chaba, huku unaingia cricket. Mnacheza sijui kick the can.
Mshacheza
shake. Huko.
Rounders. No.
Rounders is kwa za mtaa, I think.
Rounders, I think everybody plays.
No, alikuwa anacheza ngama cricket, bro.
Oh.
Unasikia?
With the weekends.
With anywhere. And because it was organized. Neighborhood. Watu mnakuja mnacheza.
Organized.
Yeah. And then I think things just became a little bit too thick to karudi humo. But I was also going to Westlands Primary. So anyway, but from Westlands Primary, I think mother decided, hizi jangili hizi zinawapeleka boarding.
Nyere.
Embu. And that's when you start, so you know you're hit unachapwa na butwa because you start seeing different things.
Yes.
You start saying, okay, you know, from one morning unakuda Elliot, si mkate ni Elliot's mami.
Yes.
Maybe kasos ganje hapo kachai.
Yeah.
Next day, uji. Lunch, githeri. With weavers. Supper, githeri
That's
with
extra
weavers.
protein.
Bro, that was standard. Fridays, ugali, cabbage, and meat.
And one like 2 ninis of meat, and then
you have to be there.
Like a floater. Yeah.
You have to be there.
Because if you're serving you're the one who has to play.
Ukihata,
Yes.
shida. We used to have visiting once a term. Mind you, I'm 12.
Midterm, right?
Yeah, once a term, midterm. I'm 12. My bro's 11. But boarding started from standard 5.
5, yeah.
Right? Visiting day is when you'd see now differences.
Okay.
Okay. Yes. Zile lunch boxes, zile machapos.
And you know,
manini,
you,
yes.
you can eat whatever you can eat. You can only remain with whatever you're gonna eat for supper.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's no extra za kuweka kwa ile kale ka sanduku.
Gotire. If you can't finish, inarudi nyumbani. That is where now.
So who inspected to make sure that you had a
Oh, in boarding schools, yeah, in boarding
No, I'm
schools,
just
Primo,
asking
they
you-
used to be.
I-
they used to
reason why
have
I'm-
surprise inspections.
The reason why I'm asking, because I went to boarding, but the boarding where I went, even that car being visited, mi nilikuwa nimetupwa huko, so no one was visiting. But my bro went to your school.
Changes.
Yes. So me, I would go there, you know, this famo days, I don't know what, nini. Lakini kulikuwa na mchezo wa kuchenga.
Yeah.
Where I used to be used as the, basically, they would be the decoy for everybody else. Na mimi ndio nilikuwa nabeba chakula nipeleke kwa dom, alafu naweka kwa nini, kwa
Yeah.
coffin. Wananipa kifungo, I knew how to get to the house, where it was, nini, which cubicle and all that. Nafungua coffin, naweka. So there was nobody keeping track of me. That's why I asked that question.
But you see,
Yeah.
that is high school. Me, I'm talking about Primo.
Primary school,
Understood.
yeah.
Understood.
Primo is very different. So what would happen is, visiting day, you can tell the guys who are going to be visited and who are not.
Yeah.
Because there was also that sort of classism. Because now nimetoka Umo, nimetoka Nairobi.
Msewa na ya.
There was a guy who was from Coast. I'll never forget him. He was called King Musangali.
Yeah.
Right, but who am I talking? But he also there was also his family, part of his family also lived in Embu. But anyway, visiting day is when you can see hapa kimeumana. So sometimes, you know, my mom did a very good job of, you know, it's always good to share. So sometimes
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd call a guy, like I know somebody's not going to be visiting. I'm like,
Yeah.
boss, kuna chakula,
Njoo-
kuja,
njoo tuje
Come, we
pamoja.
sit down.
Yeah.
come, we sit down
Yeah.
and eat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in
That
fact,
matter
even he might
because-
not even be visited because his chaps don't even have money to come
And
there.
by the way, if you're not visited, there's Githeri waiting for you.
DH.
DH.
Yeah.
And you can
And
smell.
watu hapa
Aye.
watu sasa umeletewa kukupono, chapo, masausage, madavi, the budha, siothe,
Mavriti, makeki.
I would be the guy waiting for you kule in the nini.
So you start, you know, so from that lens at 12, you start seeing that, you know what, things are different.
Yes.
Not everyone. You're complaining about Mother bringing you here because ndio usikule breakfast, usikule mkate, usikule Elliot sausage, usikule hizo. Lakini hapa kuna watu, even for them being in boarding,
That's the only meal.
That's a meal ticket.
that's a meal ticket.
Wow. Okay, Baldhead hapa anasema school gear was a good metric for us, like neat new school uniform sets, new books, covers, and of course butter shoes. Nyinyi ni wadosi if this was you. So it's interesting to see, you know, like what people define as.
That was made, yeah, that was because bazio saa zingine you're coming in with yani zile shati iko na
Yeah.
iko na sharp
Yeah.
But you
Iko
can
sharp
see-
inaweza hata kukata.
kabisa, but
Yeah.
you can see some people yani unaona hii
Yeah.
imechapwa kiraka
Even
kiasi.
even the sweater, standard ya sweater unacheki even nasema ai.
Yeah. So for me, my experience was slightly different. You know, and I'll be very honest. I know sometimes ukumaju, you know, like there are sometimes people who like to to exaggerate, you know, like poverty that they experience, and I don't understand, you know. And these are some people that I know, that I grew up with, and I sometimes don't understand. To me, my first, let me say, my first view of poverty at a very close proximity was, of course, I'm not even gonna say family. I'm gonna say when I went to high school, when I went to Changes, is when for the first time I started realizing that, okay, things are actually different, because you're meeting people who are wearing the first pair of shoe. You're meeting people who are being taught how to use a bathroom. Yeah. You know, so that was very shocking to me. You know, like, it was very shocking, and I tell this to people, and I say, and sometimes people don't even believe, because I think I was very naive. Because even for me, even when I went to high school, is when for the first time, and this maybe may not have anything to do with poverty, but to me it was my first time seeing people who are my age speaking, you know, like English and Swa with a different accent. I used to associate that accent with grown people, you know, like people of a certain age, you know, like because I'd never, you know, like, you've gone to school in Nairobi, you know, like, watu age yako, you're not, hujai kutana na mtu, you know, mtoi age yako anaongea na accent ya Kikuyu ama na accent ya Kimasai.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
because you've mostly interacted. So
Yeah.
to me, I mean, to me it was very shocking, and you know, and I have to say, for me personally, I cannot say I mean, I do not come from a rich background, but at the same time, I cannot sit here and say, you know, like, I came from a poor background. True. I can't say siwezi anza kusema nimetoka
You didn't
mbali.
kosa a meal? Did you ever kosa a meal?
No, never ever.
To me, I think that's a gauge, but what do I know?
Yeah. So I never had that
But you see,
experience.
kosaing a meal, for
Yeah.
some, kosaing 1 meal a day, it is muhadhara. There's some people who even kosaing 2 or
Yes,
kosa
there's some
2.
people who are going a whole day
So
without a meal.
It's levels.
Yeah, and me actually, my first experience with ile suffering, ile akusota, was here in the United States, in this very United States. This was my first experience of where, you know, like, I have only $20 in my bank account.
And you don't see another
sijalipa
$20
rent.
coming from anywhere.
Yeah, sijalipa rent, you know, sijalipa bill, sijalipa. To me, that my first experience was here in the US, and that's the reason why, you know, like, I would really love to hear that people talk about this. Now, as far as my family is concerned, you know, like, even going back generations, we were not wealthy, but we were also not poor people. You know, like even the stories that sometimes, like, my mother tells me, you know, my late grandmother used to tell me, there wasn't you know, like, I could not pick out elements of what is sometimes referred to as poverty. And one of the main things that we want to do today is the way you grew up as a child and how you interacted with poverty or having money. Does it have an influence on how you behave when you get money as an adult? Because there was one thing that I was once told by a cousin of mine, you know, because kuna rafiki yetu mwingine tulienda, and they constantly kept talking about how successful they were, how many cars they have, how many apa US, how many, you know, like yani they constantly kept talking about how rich they become. Yani mpaka ikafika point I was like, okay, I mean, what is the point? Ndo kazo akanipula aside akaniambia, you have to realize that certain people came, you know, like, from a certain place. They never saw certain things in Kenya. They never saw themselves where they are. So that's why you have to give them a pass, you know, like, when they talk about these things, or when they're constantly, you know, like showing these things, like, mtu anaingia social media, anakuonyesha gari yake ya weekend, gari yake ya weekday, and that's where, you know, like, we have to relate. What I like about the US, this is the first place where I think Kenyans of all different classes met in the same place. Because back in 254, the society is stratified.
It caters you.
From where you go buy food, from where you go hang out, from the schools you go to,
of course,
from it's very, very stratified.
Yes.
Yeah. So
wase wa umo Islando watahengi Islando.
Correct.
Wase wa Westi wataka huko. You'll not find many guys, you know, moving
We may all meet
You may meet, let's say, maybe if you go to
reggae. We may meet at reggae.
Maybe. But you might also meet in school, depending on which school.
Depending on which
Yes.
school you go
Yes,
to.
yes.
Yeah.
That's it.
Again, yeah.
That's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
Or probably, let's say, if there's a funky, like, you know, like sports day somewhere, like if it's nationals or whatever, maybe at that point in time. But sana sana, ukiingia, kama ni unaenda umoja one, ukimaliza mpaka standard 8, maybe shule, pengine utaenda jamu ama ufafa, depending. Right?
Yeah, highway.
Highway. You know, like, but if let's say you're in Mandera, you did well, utatoka huko utaingia changes,
Yeah.
utaingia patch, utaingia, you know, maybe a district school or provisional school, depending, or, you know, if you come to a national school, if you pass, now you start seeing something different. But for me, I think my going to Primo at that young age prepared me adequately
For living in Baltimore.
no, prepared me more to, like, you know, so that Ali was not, you know, like, go, you know, like somebody's asking here, you know, about the career, the accents, were they kushrab ama ni diplo accent?
No, sikutaka kutumia kushrab because
No,
niliambiwa
shrub.
mi niliambiwa that's an insensitive word. Unajua we're living in a woke era.
Huh?
That's what I was told.
Ati to shrub is insensitive.
It's an insensitive word.
Okay.
So I say to
So
speak
let
with
me
an accent.
let me
Yeah.
say it, because Kikuyu is the ones who shrub a lot. So shrubbing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So me, I was, you know, like, unatoka umo one semester term,
Yeah.
and then the next term unaingia Embu, and now when you get there, the English, by the way, these
It's
are
a
people
different
who,
accent.
these are people who, yes,
Totally
speaking is a
different
problem,
accent.
but when it comes to written,
No, they're very
composition,
good. Yeah.
they are topping, wako
Yeah.
tops, wako tops. You and your kizungu of your mawa, is different.
Kizungu mob.
Ile
Yeah.
kama pua ni nini, like Dombolos giving us a story some time back, but that prepares you. So you start, you know, you sit down with these guys, you have to study with them, and some of them are chops,
Yeah, very bright.
very bright. So
Yeah.
like, okay, like I ngangana with these guys. So even
Yeah.
when I malized Primo, then went to Kerea to high school, I wasn't bothered sana by guys who are coming in from other places
From the country.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this had been your experience.
It had
Yeah.
been. In fact, I was like, yes, these are some of the coolest guys. These are some of the coolest cats. They're very bright.
Yeah.
So, unaona mtu akikuja, you just friends with them, and you're like, you know what? It's beyond accent. It's beyond ati msee ametoka whatever. Because sometimes watu walikuwa nalipiwa shule.
Yeah. I know kulikuwa na bursaries.
Kuna bursaries.
Yeah.
So
Correct.
even so, guys, for them again, even to come from Primo, now they have come to high school like a national. That for them is the break. They're guaranteed a meal
Yes.
and a place to sleep. 3 meals, however many meals you're
And you
getting.
know, here's the interesting thing. There were some people in my school in Changes who would come in January and go back home in November.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, hiyo for December halls.
Yes.
Easy ati halls ati April.
Otire,
Nothing.
hakuna pesa za kwenda na
Wako
kurudi.
shule, yeah. And they're being fed.
And I don't know if sometimes, people, I don't, because you'd hear some guys that, huyo msee haezi enda home. You know why? Because probably their family, they move a lot. So even if akienda, even
Hajui
if it's for
pali
3
wako.
weeks,
Yeah.
hajui familia yake itakuwa wapi.
Yeah.
But he knows December bali watakuwa.
Yeah, and December he has enough time kutafuta because
Yes.
going to certain places, kama unaenda Marsabit, you know, like those days, I don't know now, maybe mabarabara imejengwa. It would take almost a week from Nairobi kutoka uchukue basi kufikishe sijui ni Meru ama ni Isiolo, and then uchukue nyingine, uchukue matatu nyingine, and then ufike
God forbid
pali
kunanyesha,
unaingia kwa lori ya mifugo. Unaingia kwa lori inabeba mifugo because those are the only ones that are going there. So by the time unafika, yani ni yani kumeharibika, you know, like it's a week.
Si kuna msee alikuwa nasoma na cigarette nini light ya baba yake. Carry on, sorry. It's supposed to be a joke.
Now
Rigiji.
oh, Rigiji.
Yes.
Vigara. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, but then again, let me see, this hapa anasema
Mashakura
pia ni insensitive food. And then Salishiro anasema casserole. I don't know whether hiyo ndo chakula alikuwa nakula ama
Nyinyi si mulikuwa watu wa casserole na custard?
well,
hizo ni foreign.
now here
Custard was
Speak for self.
okay.
Tell this chap about custard.
Atuku sosi.
No, but here's a funny thing. Yes, Changes kulikuwa na kuku, kulikuwa na
Oh, I mean,
kulikuwa na hizo sose, kulikuwa na hizo zinaitwaje hizo custard na nini. There were days. You know, there were certain days.
not
There was,
every day.
there was
No, it
something
wasn't every
called
day, yeah.
there was something called Yorkshire pudding.
Yes.
That and I think that was as a result of where this was it was formerly a Mzungu school. So I think this just came, you know, like from back there. But here's the interesting thing, you know, like mini kienda changes. To me, that was a lot of people see schools like Changes Patch, you know, like as schools that had a softer experience as a boarding. But to me it wasn't softer because of where, you know, like I had come from. And you know, like when I was going there in Form 1, I did not know what to expect. But sasa ukifika part unaletewa a certain kind of food, wewe umezoea kula chakula fulani, mmeletewa, you know, ugali na mchuzi. Yes, ni mchuzi, but iko na nyama, lakini ni nyama, yani si ile nyama umezoea kula, si ile nyama umezoea kula home. So that was an entirely different experience for me. But here's a question now. The what do you call it? The shows of opulence that we sometimes see on social media. Is it fair to say that there might be an association with where someone came from, you know, in as far as having some kind of poverty during their childhood, or are every other persons equally guilty of engaging in shows of opulence? By shows of opulence, you know, there's normal stuff, you know, like unaflos nguo, handbag, but then kuna ile nafikati now you're showing, you know, loads of money. You know, you're showing loads of money, you're showing briefcases and even suitcases of money, you know, like on social media. How do you explain that?
Bandi was here earlier. I mean, again, and he mentioned something that was very interesting. In Kenya, or in Tanzania, and I think the same applies to Kenya, kuwa na gari is what? Is considered a big...
It's prestige, yeah.
It's prestige.
Yes, correct.
In Kenya, ukiwa na gari.
I think back then, I don't think now, but back then.
Even today.
But even today.
Bro.
And the reason why I say that, and maybe somebody might say I'm being naive, there's a lot of vehicles. Now maybe people are not driving, but again, population has, you know, increased.
Population has significantly increased.
Yes, but you see, still, gari meaning, back then it was a car.
Correct.
But now, disc 4, disc 3, I come to discover that is Discovery. Kuna 3 series,
yes.
Kuna 4 series,
yes.
Kuna Prado, Land Cruiser. Like even sometimes, even amongst ourselves, like, you know, when you go visit, when you travel, unaambiwa chukua gari, you know, even you've been told push this. Some people you're told push the Caprimio, like kwani nafikiria mimi sina pesa. You'll get that.
Correct.
Right? But here in Stato, it's not really a car, it's a house. Think about that.
Like house,
like
owning
Nyumba,
a house, yeah.
like owning a house.
Yeah.
That's a sign of
you think
wealth.
about it. Yes.
That's a mark of wealth, because
that's a mark of ati umefika.
There's a lot of renters
Think
in the
about
US.
Okay.
There's a high proportion of renters in the US. But kule nyumbani ni gari. And you know, when you look at, for example, like Nairobi has become poorer. You know, like we may not realize it because of maybe the circles of people, you know, but Nairobi has become poorer. And Nairobi is almost 70% informal settlements. The population.
Yes.
The population, almost 70%, they live in informal settlements. So if you're living in an informal settlement, hakuna hata sehemu ya kupark gari. You know, forget about owning a car. You don't even have a place to park that car. So in as much as we may see many cars in Nairobi, I think there's a small segment of people that own these cars, because you'll still see a lot of people using matatus. Nowadays, hata watu wa matatu, they've been separated from the rest of the population because of Ubers. So there are people now who are using Ubers and are not using matatus. I can't remember the last time I used a Matri like when I was in Kenya. So there's that separation. There used to be a separation between watu wa matatu na watu wa mguu. Because kumbuka kuna watu wa Route 11.
Yes.
Yeah, wakutembea, people who walk from Kibich Line Saba all the way to industrial area.
Yes.
So that's another segment of people. And then sasa middle class and let me say upper low class tulikuwa tukikutana kwa matatu.
Yes.
Because hata kama unaishi Nairobi West, tunakutana kwa matatu, but now there's a new separation with people who use Ubers. Yeah, who are no longer using matatus.
Because also remember, kutumia matatu, also you had to ingia akina Moon Kid, those Ricochet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Unaget? Because not everyone could afford to go to pay that extra 5 bob or 10 bob.
Yes.
To ingia Kerea. And those ones you'll only find them like in the West, Nairobi West, whatever. Maybe up to Buru. Ukiingia umo in 1960 ni Nissan tu.
They used to be in
until Komarok.
Yeah.
Ziliingia 1960 za zile zinakupeleka Umoja tu, Kayole.
Kuna part Eastlands, kumbuke ni wapi, there used to be those matri zile Ford za zamani. Unakumbuka zile Ford za zamani, like I don't know how to describe them, but they were very very old cars. And then there were some routes zilikuwa na zile 7 aside. Zile mnaka kama
zile face me I face you.
Yeah,
yes,
face me I face you.
Alafu hapo kuna kanini na mtu akishikilia hivi, wewe na matako yake mnaongea.
Yes. Like and that's just.
Alafu mnafungua huko nyuma na dere. Wewe na konda na dere is in front and he's separated.
Yeah.
Are separated.
He's in a separate chamber.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's some dangerous crap.
That's very dangerous.
Those are the ones that used to peleka us.
Yes, you're very right. Yes.
Uko Ushago,
yes.
Those ones.
Yeah.
7 aside.
Yes.
Hizo ndizo
the ones.
Yeah. Yeah, so unaona there's been that stratification.
And the dairy locks the thing from outside.
Bana.
And you're like, okay, how are we getting out?
Koji anafungwa na koji.
The guy used to have a kanini. Sometimes he used to have a kachuma.
A kachuma, then he goes and locks.
It's a kati. He ingishes like this and then he turns. Then now it funguas.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maze hapa ni kubaya.
I remember one time I traveled in such a thing, tumefungiwa. I think that, I don't know, maybe the woman was sitting next to me, whatever I think alikuwa ameweka hiyo Bint El Sudan, that marash. Bro,
Aishi.
they had to stop.
Sudan aishi.
No, boss, they had to stop because I threw up. And I was like,
oh wow.
Yes. Yes. Bint El Sudan. I was traumatized.
Bint El Sudan, best perfume ever. One drop lasts you a whole week. Hata ukishawa. Iko pale bado. Na unapata kwa bei nafuu pale Garissa Lodge.
Hapa comments zimekam fast and furious. Let's see, karibu sana bald head. Good evening humanoids of here. Kadhe. Niaje same was up na Mosha. Hatujasoma taking notes where Leodor. Kevin Kute Buddha hatajua ni birthday yao. I don't know that is. Mosh, kama unaweza braid nimekupatia points. Is you speaking about braiding? By the way, see you
no, I was just a person who
Kushrab, neutralizer. I think this neutralizer was Korea when we came here.
Yeah.
State will just neutralize everything.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the same struggle.
Yeah.
We started Korea.
Yeah. It didn't matter who you are. Yeah.
Even if your parents had chums.
Yeah.
At some point,
yeah.
You needed.
We're back to Onyuro 1.
Simple as that. Slip of the tongue, Wara. I guess those are the terminologies. Machakura, Gashagwa, Ashuga. You mean Castelol? Aye. Yeah. Kaiser Soze. Karibu sana Kaiser. In Jamaica, the people with old money behave differently from the poor people who get rich. Old money don't show off.
That's a bad Jamaican accent.
Shut up. Mine is better than Omosha's last week.
Omosha alijaribu.
Take nothing. Steven JJ say, I was told most he may disappear.
I was told most watu wale hupenda kufloss sana ni watu who didn't grow up in Nai. Bondo to JKIA, straight to the US. Ama Nax to JKIA, straight to the US. Green card winners, for example.
And I'll add that. Muranga, straight unagotire kuhitukira
Yeah.
Nairobi. Well, Nairobi utapitia ukienda JKIA. Ukiland hapa.
And by the way, that's true.
And,
as a percentage,
yes.
Nairobians tuko wachache sana hapa US.
Yes.
You know, like there's very few.
So what are you saying? There are others.
Huh? I'm just saying.
There are others. There's Nairobian
Va
others.
helmet.
No,
Mawe zinakuja.
I'm just saying tuko wachache.
Walk wanamuok.
No, I'm just saying we are very few.
Now, but anyway, we'll discuss. I'll go back to that point for of Stephen JJ, because that one of Ati really not having some of the
Not
times,
having that transition.
not having, or considering probably you did not have.
Yeah.
Like if it's your car, if you didn't have a car, whatever, for them they have to constantly show that they've made it. Like dimefika.
Yeah.
They have to let it be known.
So the question here, you know, like, is should people be easy on people who constantly do that because of their experience? Because it's sometimes difficult to understand, you know, like, because there are people who have a habit of constantly doing that or constantly bringing it up, even in conversations.
That's a good question. Baldad says, yeah, people are perennially on debt. Kaiser says, rich people back home always had nice houses. Okay. Please go deeper on how Nairobi has become poorer. What is the determining factor? Higher.
No, absolutely.
But
Yeah.
Okay,
she
hold on.
needs more.
No. Salishiro James Minotis. Someone from Kenya asked me, Haya, you're driving a Kia. Chukua gari ya nguvu. Kwani my sportage is a Pro Box. In or it came with the Melly, remember. Oh, that is, I think, the Igrich. This is true in my opinion. Met a few like this. I wonder who watu wale wakupenda kuflow sana. Those ones of, I think, I think those are internal conversations. Tabitha Njeri says here, for me, the flossing I struggle with is the one where one helps a person in need privately, a person or family or kids who are truly desperate, and then publicly announces how they helped them. Why not keep
my
that
God.
help private?
Oh,
You know, it's interesting.
shush.
Now you know that's Ali's pet peeve.
Oh my God.
Umefungwa a can of worms.
See, baby.
No,
Nitali
that one amefungwa a can of worms for Ali, and I hear where Ali is coming
Nitali
from.
da.
But also I see why it would be done.
Why? Okay.
Okay.
So there are many things,
so
things that have been addressed here, and so many
Yes.
questions that you have been asked to address.
Yes.
There's a lot. So there's this. There's that part of addressing, you know, about
Nice poverty.
nice poverty, and
Yes.
we also have to talk about that Kia Sportage, your Pro Box, ya udem.
Kwa nini anaendesha gari yeye iko na
tuanze na history Omosha anaongea, you know, like try to make me understand how
So-
it's beneficial
Yes.
to flaunt that you've assisted someone who was in distress.
Okay. Okay. Ali, let's dial it down just a tad. And I hear what you're talking about, the flaunt.
Yeah.
A children's home. Let's
Okay.
take SOS Children's Home, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Maybe Christmas time or sometime you go home, you decide you want to do something. And
Okay.
you decide that you have some loose funds. You go, you buy chakula that maybe can take the 40 or 50 or 60 kids at that home for a month,
Yeah.
hypothetically. So you take it, you present it, and then you take a picture with them. And you tell guys, hey, by the way, I was home, I donated here. If you have kitu kidogo, here's the contacts. Nini, please. Pia mimi nyinyi mutume. Because mimi nimeleta leo, lakini ya kesho, hawajui pali itatoka. Because they don't know. They rely on donors who give in kind. And some
Yeah.
people give, you know, constantly on a rotating basis, and others it's a one time, you know, and they disappear.
Yeah.
So anything that you can get is always good, and they'll always take it in, whether it's in money, whether it's in goods, blah blah blah. So now I'm from that perspective, I don't mind somebody doing that.
Okay.
I hear you when you say with the front, because there's that one of kuna wale nikawa wanataka kuonyesha wamefanya kitu ya ajabu sana, and now they need to be commended or given some sort of a star. You
Yeah.
know, like that star that you're given
2
when you do
stars.
well in class.
Yeah, I'm at 3 stars.
You know, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like they need like a gold star, and they're constantly on gold star level. kuna wale wataenda watafanya na utajua walifanya na wanaendelea kufanya na wataendelea kufanya, because for them it's a service that they don't need to it's a service that they're doing, and they don't need to flaunt the fact that they are giving to somebody who does not have the ability to either get for themselves or fend for themselves. And I think yours comes from a religious perspective. I could be wrong from where you're coming from, because that's part and parcel of your religion. You guys, that's part and parcel of giving. It's part and parcel of living. You give back.
Yeah, it's
Right?
it's part and parcel of what you're supposed to do.
As a human and as part, right?
Yeah, and I'm not gonna deny, like maybe, like my faith, my religion might have had an influence on how I perceive this, because it's very frowned upon, like in Islam, kuwa na kitu inaitwa iyo ria ama, like giving so that people can see. That's something that's frowned upon, because hata msikitini ukitaka kwenda kutoa donation, guess ni nani atajua? Ni wewe and whoever has been assigned to accept donations.
Yes.
Like you will not be advertised, you will not be announced. There's certain things that mosques, like for example here in the US, have to publish for tax reasons. So those ones are okay, but ile like kujitangaza ati Ali ametoa $5,000, hiyo hapo is it's not that it's not allowed, but it's something that's frowned upon. The best form of charity is the one that's given in secret. And almost I get like where you're coming from, where if you're trying to see if other people can come in and also help in a situation.
Yes.
So
and a lot of people do it from that perspective.
Yes.
And others,
but you see, there's some who do it and they're posting pictures, but they're not even explaining where they are. They're not even explaining, like how you can contribute. Like they're just, it's simply, like he's a Samabani, like has gone back to the village, went back to the closest supermarket, bought 32-page Kasuku exercise books, and decided the local primary school, that is what they need.
Recipient.
He storms the school when it's in the middle of the session, because ametoka majuu, and anasimamisha kila kitu, anataka watoto wakuja hapo wamsurround, akisema amanunulia vitabu. That's the one that I sometimes tend to have a problem with. And I think a lot of times you want to find out before you go invest in 32-page Kasuku exercise books to distribute to the kids. You want to go find out from the school what immediate needs do you have, rather than you deciding this is what I want to do. Another thing that has become also kind of trendy is sanitary towels. So mtu anabeba, like a bunch of sanitary towels hapa, and of course there's a need for those in a lot of schools, but then maybe the school has a more efficient way of doing it. With that $100 that you spent here, there's a way in which they can take that $100 longer, because hawakukwambia ati kuna shortage ya sanitary towels huko. It's just that maybe they can't afford it, but they know ways of getting affordable ones. So hapo ndo pali niko na issue kidogo, with people who, like want to help and then show it to the world. Ndo mimi hapa, I'm feeding the poor. Haha, give me 3 stars.
Bandio is actually in agreement with you. He says you should never ever talk about people umesaidia. Ongea as kuwatafutia msaada zaidi, but sio kujisifia. Toa sadaka, usitangaze. Haikupi blessing. And I think very many comments over here.
actually sadaka is never, it's never announced, right?
No.
That you know of, right? It shouldn't.
You're offering.
It shouldn't be.
It never is.
Yeah.
I don't know,
it shouldn't be, but you see, like when politicians, for example, go to churches on the weekends, and it's announced, like Flania ametoa
and they're lined up.
10,000.
And they're
1
lined up.
million.
They're
Yeah.
lined up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sinani used to do that, M1, if you remember, sana
Yes.
when there was a Harambe.
Yes.
Huyo ametoa 1,000.
But
20,000.
again, Harambe is a totally different scenario than this, these Sunday services that they're going for. Because normally kuna those Sunday services that they show up, that the guy will just show up. And then he says, you guys, you have a fund or you have a this. Okay, nimekuja na watu toeni do.
But even in church, even just recently.
Correct. No, you're right.
They announce, Mheshimiwa ametupatia 5 million.
Yeah, so that's
They still make the
Yeah,
announcement.
towards the bus.
Yeah.
Towards whatever it is.
That's
Even in
problematic.
church.
Ama ile umesikia maybe kuna mtoto fulani ambaye like hajaweza kulipa fees, and maybe they're living in desperate conditions. Then you go to because you want to pay for them fees ya one term, you go to where they live, in poverty. You take so many pictures, because remember, poor people also have dignity, and at a time of desperation they cannot, because a lot of times people will say, but walikubali tu. No, when someone is poor, they don't have consent, because umekuja hapo and you're offering to pay school fees for a term, hata kata, but of course they don't want that indignity of being shown that hii ndo hali ambayo anaishi, because at the end of the day they're also human beings, but there's a tendency of people to think that it's okay to do that. The fetishization of poverty, hiyo kuifanya ni kama like it's kind of like some sort of hobby.
But I think if let's put. I think I want to use I think there's a programming that has happened where it is deemed okay to do that.
Yes.
Case in point,
And it's problematic.
Case in point,
Yeah.
all these NGOs. If you turn on the TV at night, what do you see?
Yeah, poor Africans.
Poor Africans.
Yeah,
$1
a
coming
day.
over here, $1 a day.
The
Right?
flies.
Yeah, the
in the
flies,
face
everything.
and
So
the-
that has programmed. We've been programmed to see
To
that.
feel like that's okay.
Yeah, and we are like, hey, out wanakuja kutusaidia, hatuna maji, we don't have this, and there's not been any there was nothing negative has ever been said, right? No one has come and said these guys are coming. No, they are welcome with open arms. Anyone can open at .org and they wanaenda and they concentrate. Kibra, they go.
There's certain places
there's
they
certain
like going.
places they like going.
Yeah.
Mekere Wanjenga.
Those places. So and there's nothing has ever been said.
I've never seen them in
And
Ongwaro.
also you find that even churches, like even over here, churches themselves, you know what, we are doing a good thing. We want to drill water we want to drill wells or whatever. We're gonna go there for 10 days. People have got church schools, is in Etangoji, cousins or sister church,
yes.
whatever it is.
Yeah.
I've met people like, oh yeah, you meet people, you're like, I've been there, family, I went there
They're
a few
going
years
for
back
ministry.
for ministry.
Yes.
But
And there's
do you
nothing-
think also this has some association to poverty, in terms of, because everybody does it, but you see,
But
like, for
it's
example,
the idea of poverty, that we are poor.
yeah, you see, for example, like kama vile like Eric Omondi anaenda anatoa sijui kama ni unga, anaanza kuzidistribute, like anaweka kamera hapo watu waone, like I don't know, like, and like you said,
I
it's been made to look okay.
I think that one, and there's two ways to look at it. We all know that Eric Omondi, a lot of times, and he's
Even politicians, I don't need to cut you. Even politicians, what do they do?
They do the same thing.
But what do they do it with?
But we
What
know
do they do it with?
with politicians, we know that they're looking. We clearly know what they're looking
Yeah,
for.
but what do they
Correct.
do it with? Stuff that like GOK wanapenda unga wametoa, from
Yeah,
government of
I
Kenya.
know.
Whatever.
They're using
Unajua-
government money, yeah.
Sorry, go ahead.
So I was saying, like, someone like Eric, I applaud what he's doing. Now, there may be a different way of looking at it, and you say that, you know what, vile umesema, dignity ya wale wase wanapewa unga, ama ule mtu alipewa, na pengine hakuwa anataka kuja kamera, lakini the only way kupata hiyo unga ni utakuwa kwa kamera.
Yeah, that's the
Na
condition.
una uwezo na watoi wako
Wakonja.
hawana.
Yeah.
Sindio?
So they're desperate.
And granted, he's using his own money or maybe somebody else's money. It doesn't matter. The whole point of it is that it's supposed to be helping those who cannot be helped. And vile umesema, again, that consent, even if you get it, it doesn't necessarily mean that it's consent that one was willing to give you if they had an alternative, right?
Yeah.
So the other way is that of looking at it is to say that he is doing this solely so that he can get attention and keep himself relevant. Or you could also say that he's doing that so that you can see there is a need. So you, in turn, you'll do whatever it is that you can do for whoever you can do it for.
Yeah.
in wherever area you can do it. So there's different ways of looking at it. Now, whether it's tied into poverty or not, I'm not sure.
Okay.
But back to what brought us to this, even that question of poverty, of, you know, like, I'm flaunting what I have, or the riches and or wealth I have, because at one point I didn't have, and so now I'm showing you what I do have, so you understand and know that I do have. I can see why someone who never had will flaunt it.
Okay.
But I can also see why someone who never had will never want you to know that they have it at that level, because they are scared probably that you might come and someone else might come and take it and or interfere with their blessings, with all these things.
And then, you
that
know,
they have.
people like, you'll rarely see people like Manu Chandaria doing it in public, but they're constantly doing it.
Boss, Manu
They're
gives,
constantly doing it.
Me, I can tell you,
Yeah.
I'm part of an organization that Manu gives to.
Yes.
And it's just a matter of going, applying, nini, and, you know, you have a good cause, blah, blah, blah. And if he thinks inaingia na vila nini, atapeana.
But then
And
there's
he's not asking for credit.
no, he's not asking for credit, no
Don't
cameras,
put his
nothing.
name, nothing.
Yeah.
You'll not even see him.
Anatoa tu kimya kimya.
Kuna watu wanasaidia.
And then there's another group of people who maybe they have ill-acquired wealth, so they're looking of ways of sanitizing themselves in the society.
Yeah.
So they have to do that giving
Or to
in
justify
public.
what they have, and no one's looking.
So no one will question.
but
no
you see-
one will question because watasema lakini anasaidia.
Okay, the problem becomes, okay, it also depends, because that can be done comfortably in the 254. It can be comfortably done. It doesn't matter where your money comes from, because you're not going to be audited. Nothing is really going to happen to you. If anything, you'll just have to buy protection. You'll have the who's ear,
Yeah.
and you can be able to do that.
Yes.
Because remember, Pablo Escobar at one point in time was a politician, and he won in his whatever
His-
you can say,
oh,
his,
yeah.
his
Yes.
place, and
Oh,
he was
yeah.
elected.
And
Yes.
people loved him.
As a-
Yes.
as a
Yeah,
governor,
people
was he
would
like
die
He
a
was
for
governor?
him.
I think he was like a member of parliament, a
He was
MCA.
something,
He was
yeah.
something there, but people loved it because, you know, there was no crime or whatever. He was building roads, so for that, people loved that. Did not matter about where the money came from,
Correct.
the ill-gotten whatever, but
But he wasn't flaunting what he had.
it's the fact that he
wasn't flaunting, and he wasn't like because of
but it's
poverty,
whatever he was,
right?
it's whatever he was doing
Correct.
that
Correct.
put him under microscope.
Put him under a
Correct,
microscope.
correct. But what I'm saying, but what we are talking about here is poverty. If you are the poverty, or should
So I
I say,
wouldn't
if
say
you
it
are,
was-
if you are
'cause,
poor,
yeah.
you know, or you come from a poor nini, does it affect how you either handle yourself once you're in a wealthy situation, and or how you show your wealth, or why you even show your wealth?
But I think-
does the level of poverty have something to do with it?
I think social media has
amplified certain behaviors.
Yes.
It's made
And-
possible
yes.
for
and remember, there's no kukashifu. Even if Ali comes over with a Bentley or whatever, we're not tunanungunika hapa like, hey Ali, what does Ali do yani?
Me, I'll be the first guy saying, Ali,
Hey,
bana,
mazee,
ebu, that
what's
door
up?
that opens the other way, ebu tuingie na tuone hiyo ka umbrella.
But we
I'll be
were not.
happy.
Yeah, so I'll be like, hey, what does he do?
Like, correct. And even with those of us, like, let's say us guys, we kind of all know what we do.
Yeah.
But there are folks who don't know what we do professionally, and for some it may be of a curious nature for them, because you're not out there saying, hey, I do this or I do that, or I
Yeah.
do this or I do that, or you're out there, you know, posting and saying, hey, I'm in this industry or I'm in that industry. It's up to them to kind of, you know, guess it. And for me, I don't think that I need to tell you and or show you or go out there and say, hey, I'm in this profession or I do this.
yeah.
I don't think I
But,
need
and I
to.
think that's the environment we have been raised in. That's the environment we have been programmed in,
Yeah.
Possible.
where, you know, like now,
I
for
can-
example,
I
you
can
think
see that,
you
yeah.
think about it from this, you know, how many guys do we know that used to wake up at 3 a.m. and they study until 5, but they don't tell anyone? you know, and them probably mkenda kucheza, they're playing, they're the ones who are probably looking like they're not doing anything.
Yes.
But when it comes to exams, wanabomoa.
Wanabomoa.
Ukimuuliza,
Yeah.
like, they, okay, he hapa, can you help me? Hey boss, hapa? I don't know. Or even if they do help you, they help you in such a way, they mislead you. The idea of selfishness. There's also that one.
They are those
so I
guys,
think there's
Una get?
an aspect of competition whereby labda mlipokuwa wadogo, maybe there was this one family that you guys used to see, hao ndo walikuwa wadosi, wao ndo walikuwa na magari, and then there's that feeling like si tulikuwa tumedharauliwa because tulikuwa huku chini. So now you grow up saying, wacha nikifika certain point nitawaonyesha wale, you know, I'm gonna buy bigger cars, I'm gonna buy a bigger house, and I will show it in their faces. So there's that also that happens because we
there's
also
that,
live in a
yes.
very competitive society. There was a point here that was being brought by let me see there was a point that was brought up here about Mustafa.
Oh, by Slay.
Yeah, I'm losing it.
Case in point,
Yeah.
whoever nicked Mustafa, that was as low. However, I am glad that opened doors for him to get assistance. And I wanted to comment that actually to tie it in with Omosh and what Eric Omondi has done. There are certain aspects of posting that I believe are good. Like now, for example, when he went, it was just recently, and the ladies,
Or the ladies from the jela.
from the, and even maternity ward.
Yes, and it wasn't only ladies, it was
Yes.
even guys.
Yes.
And it actually brought up, and I don't know if you realize that, sometime after that, they had actually said they were going to go back to start looking, and I think it was even the president who even said that, you know, they were going to go back and start looking at some of these crimes that chaps are in for.
So
that
for that, they really, for that,
you know, they should be given a fine
we have
or
to
whatever
give
it is
him
and
credit
move
for
on.
that.
No, give him credit for that because you're bringing awareness.
Yes.
Right? Even this one for Mustafa, in as much as probably, you know, it was...
That person, I don't think meant well for him.
Yeah.
The person who posted that
I don't think
that
they meant
video,
because
well
even the language... the
Because
language
remember,
did not mean well.
he said he had been there for a whole year with
Yeah.
no problem.
Yeah.
And then now all of a sudden, and it went shwa.
Yeah.
it went viral. Now with Mustafa's, I think, you know, like I was okay, for example, with the Mungai Eve interview that they did because that was also to bring awareness. And then kulikuwa na hii nyingine where kina Jagwa were parading him in public. I felt that was very humiliating.
I didn't see that. That was after
I
that
didn't see
Nini
that
had been
one.
posted.
That was after, you know, like everything had
ile
been
post
done.
ya wase watumejo.
Yeah, so kina Jagwa were parading him and announcing that they're giving him, you know, like 1 million. And then baka wakalikio WhatsApp group ati sijui nani alitoa ngapi na nini, and I'm like that was at that point,
As artists, season if vitu new ufanya ndani.
no, but no
Watu
nasema
ufanya kindani.
at that
You would
point
think.
the awareness was already out. The awareness was already out, but ikumleta because they're even making him now to start talk.
So no, but you see now they now that's them trying to get publicity and
Yes,
show that you know we're now doing this. But hey, this guy, it's not like this. This has been going on for a while, and if you guys are in the same WhatsApp group, which they are, because we are in some of those groups, right? They see those things and they know about it, and somebody has brought it to their attention. But because it never went viral, then it's not on people's lips.
And I think what should be happening is, in this case, you know, you're supposed to be looking at, you know, the healthcare system. You know, like, okay, she's going through cancer. What's going on? There's matibabu. You know, like to bring awareness to see what, if any changes can be done or effected to make it better, such that you don't have to, you know, you don't have to to sell your kidney. Because again, and you know, this brings up that, you know, the conversation you guys had last week, you know, about the finance bill. How much money are guys going to be taxed? Because even the poor people are getting taxed like a nonsense. Sorry for another.
Boss, it's very interesting.
There's also that issue of awareness. There's also that issue of again, you know, Tenda Wema,
Nenda
Zako.
Yeah.
You know, and it's kind of tricky. And I think the way we've been brought up, the environment we have been raised in, even before social media, there was that thing of opulence. You know, the way you look at somebody, you revere the person
Yeah.
because, like, mheshimiwa, honorable daktari,
Yeah.
you know, pilot, engineer, you know, that this guy, reverence. And, you know, you sort of submit yourselves to
ni kama mnamwabudu sasa.
kabisa.
Yeah, ni kama mnamwabudu
And it
sasa
still
because
goes
ana
on.
pesa. You know, and I think that becomes very problematic in a society, and I think that's what's messing up our society, because there was a time, you know, like when us guys were growing up, you'd remember like people would be respected. You know, like kama tuseme wewe ni mwalimu, teachers are known not to be rich, but you would be respected.
Yeah, but they're
respected
respected
for
yeah.
being a teacher,
Headmaster,
you know, like
nini,
in
yeah.
the society.
Mwalimu, unaitwa mwalimu,
But
mwalimu.
nowadays, you will be respected just because you've displayed, you know, like wealth, and people have seen it, but nobody even knows exactly what you do. But just because you've displayed it, watu watakurespect, you know, like watasema
Mhesh.
haya ndo mtu anasaidia.
Mhesh.
And then, you know, like when it comes to politicians especially, na hii game, I remember when I was in Kenya, not 2007 election, there was the 2002 election. And it's even been happening more recently. So sometimes with these platforms for spreading videos, what happens is that a politician will come to a certain place. These things are usually very choreographed and planned. Akona camera people wake, and then atafungua hiyo briefcase ya pesa, ataanza kupatia watu hapo, and then the camera is already running, atapatia watu wachache 1 2 3 4 5, and by the way hawa watu wamepatiwa ni watu wake ni watu wako nao, and then once they've gotten that 1 minute clip, that's enough, they disappear from that place. So now all they have to do is spread this video. When people see this video, maze huyu ndo mtu anatusaidia vibaya sana. But these things are very very choreographed. They're done in a very systematic way, so they're not actually out there, you know, like helping people. And if you want private help, they will not help you.
No,
They will not help you. They have to publish your poverty. They have to get something out of it, which becomes very unfortunate. There had been a question here that was asked about poverty in Nairobi. The reason why I'm saying Nairobi has become poorer is because, and I know people are gonna see this differently, because a lot of watu wa diaspora hapa sasa wakirudi nyumbani, you know, like they're staying in sijui in Airbnbs in Upper Hill,
Ungem.
hapana, hakuna Ungem, na ule anaenda kukaa Ungem haezi post kwa nini, hata post kwa
One
social
mic never
media
post.
because
I just don't post.
Do you even find him? Can't
No.
find him.
Tuonane Jumeattend.
and you see, and it's a good thing,
Jagavi.
but now you see, you'll notice that, how come kwani siku hizi everybody who is from or who comes to Nairobi ni huko Makilimani tu na huko Upper Hill, but those are the places where I think people go to stay in these Airbnbs, so they're not understanding, you know, like what's been happening in Nairobi right now. Back in the day, there used to be certain ghettos that were known, you know, like even Kibera as we know it. Kibera was not a full ghetto. There was only certain portions of Kibera kama la Saba that were hiyo ghetto. But now ghettos have spread. Ukienda mpaka Lang'ata kuna kijiji. You know, like ghettos have spread, you know, to places where they never used to be ghetto. They used to be Mathare ilikuwako, but now these ghettos have spread so much because a lot of people who are moving into the city,
Yes.
and the cost of living in the city has gone so far high up, so no one can afford to go live in South Sea Manini. So most people go to those ghettos, and that's why population wise Nairobi 70% live in informal settlements. By informal settlements I mean places that do not have, you know, like a connection for water, for electricity,
like
for
barabara,
toilets,
whatever,
barabara,
toilets,
yeah.
yes.
So that's 70% of that's an overwhelming
Barabara
majority
where car
of Nairobi.
can fit.
And then you see another thing
True
that's
that.
happening. Na hii hapa sometimes I'm gonna knock watu wa Islando. A lot of Islando people like saying this thing of wametoka mbali. Islando was a working class neighborhood.
Very true.
Buruburu,
Middle class, by the way.
Buruburu,
Umoja.
Jericho, all these were solid working class neighborhoods. Bahati, all these were solid working class neighborhoods, but for some reason
Shauri,
a lot of people, you know, like in Peter Kenneth, they like making it seem like they came from abject poverty. These places were not poor. I think the neighborhoods became dilapidated over time.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. But these places, they were not. Because
I'll say-
Tibini mse wa ghetto, but you're from Umoja, my friend. That's not a ghetto.
90s. Wacha
Yeah.
nikwambie 90s. Outer Ring Road.
Yeah.
From Emba all the way to Keria. Hata ukienda pale Brua, huko juu. Hiyo Outer Ring Road.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, hakukuwa na any form of manyumba construction.
Nothing.
Between Doni and P, hiyo area ilikuwa tu it just had that kitawa. There was nothing from where we used to. Sasa mali ukiingia Umo ndio either uende Umoja 1 ama uende Make. Sometimes there was a kiwanja, huge kiwanja, tulikuwa tunakata huko ndio tuende church Katho.
Remember ukiwa
ama Deliverance Church.
Ukiwa Umoja pale kwa railway line, you could see Wab Hotel in Buruburu. Hapo panaitwa Mutindwa. It was open. It was open. You could actually see. But now there's all kinds of shacks.
Where we used to live, hapo stop ilikuwa inaitwa KCC.
Yeah.
From where we used to live, you could look across and I can see Kariobangi South. Between Umo and Kariobangi South, where the railway inapita, hiyo unasema.
Yeah.
There was nothing. It was just kichaka.
Yeah.
And
was
actually,
nothing.
we used to cut through to go to Outer to take the bus. Ama sometimes I would walk across. Napita hiyo kichaka na napaka Dandoch phase 4 kutembelea mjomba and walk back. Now
A different
It's a different, and that's what I'm saying.
ni muhadhara.
That's what I'm saying.
And even within Umoja,
Yeah.
there was a time there was only one high rise. One. Ilikuwa
no, everything is a high
A125.
rise.
No.
Umo now.
A125.
Yeah, now everything is a high rise. Everything is a high rise.
Everything is a high
Umo.
rise. But
Yeah.
when I went, kwanza let me just say 07 when I first went back. Yani nilipelekwa chochoro.
No, you get lost.
No, I got lost.
Unapotea.
Even our neighborhood.
Yeah.
Mazi until ilikuwa niambia, by the way, huku ni wakina Wira. I'm like, guy. It had changed. So, Puara probably.
Yeah. And then Sleap anasema another thing that people used to determine if a place was ghetto was construction of apartments. I remember when they started building them in Kilimani and people were making statements that Kilimani will now become like an estate huko East Lando. You know, I mean, I don't know.
So
you
she,
know.
because I think now the problem with that is, was Kilimani, because I think in as much as you're building and people have brought this up, engineers, you have to make space
You're supposed to plan.
You're supposed to plan.
Yeah.
They don't.
Water,
Yeah.
elect.
Yeah.
You don't just carry
I
out
remember there was a time when they had a moratorium where there was no more building between Kilimani, Westlands, and like that. They were not building anymore. If you already had a plan in place, your grandfather in. Anybody else coming in, because you couldn't add any more roads. There were no more schools that were being added. No more sewage is being added. No more even electrical supply. Like that means from Maine, from the main line, you're gonna have to add more to supply all these chaps. Just like summertime when everybody turns on AC at the same time, and then
na barabara je, because the roads are not being expanded.
there is nowhere. Where are you gonna expand them to?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't expand them anymore. I mean, other than the only expansion that has been done major on that side of the world was Ngong Road, and even that, if you ask me, they
That
should have
wasn't
done
sufficient, yeah.
They should have done a better job and done, like kuna ile barabara ya ndani done that ile haitumiki but inatumika.
Yeah.
The one that's not tarmacked.
Yes.
They should have made that a lane that could have been used. But there's of course kuna wale wataeka do nini. But even with that, they've made headway. They've tried. They've made headway.
They've made
But still.
And now you see there's this plan to build that the government has to build this, they're calling
housing.
it affordable housing.
Where are they being built?
Like there's according to Ule PS Hinga, he was saying there's some land that has been given out for that, but the only land
Where is
that
this land? What in the Jamhuri for Jam over there and Naribushokra?
No, apana, because remember it's not only Nairobi, this is across the country. But they're saying the problem is a lot of these developers are only interested in
Tenders
Landia,
in
Nairobi,
Yeah.
and within the environs of Nairobi, because
I don't blame them.
because they're saying, like they've given, like parcels in other
Marsabit,
parts.
I think it was Marsabit, sabi huko, and
Yeah.
people haven't chukuad them.
Yeah, and people and no developer wants to do
What's
it.
the tender?
Yeah, so no developer wants it because they feel like they feel I don't know, they somehow feel like it's not going to be profitable. So I think they're trying to work something out.
So if I'm a developer
Yeah.
and you Gava are saying put in your RFP, right? So isn't it based upon X amount, or is it me who comes in, develops, and I'm supposed to make my own money? Is that
So the thing is,
that
the price for this Gava housing is capped. So in places where the developer would get 7 million, 7 million shillings a unit,
Yeah.
they have to sell it for 3 million.
Okay.
So that's where developers are feeling like, why should I expend my energy here for building this where Gava is going to be selling them for 3 million a unit? So there's a limit to how much they can pay me as a developer, rather than go somewhere where you can sell a unit for 7 or even 10 million
And I'll make
and you
my
get
money.
a bigger chunk.
And
So I
they are
think
right.
right there,
They are
right there is
But
where
I think-
there's
But Gava needs to bridge that gap.
But the problem also, Omosh, but the problem also, I believe, is that there's this notion that Nairobi is it.
Okay.
Nairobi is the place.
I get what
absolutely.
you're
No, no,
saying.
no, no.
I get what you're saying, but then think
'Cause
of
even-
it this
'cause
way.
even- 'cause even
It's
in-
profit. You're in for
gotta-
profit.
you could be poor, but the fact that you are living and hustling in Nairobi,
Yeah.
ukiwa huko nje, ni kama umetoka wapi? Ni kama ukienda kutembea ushago na umekuja na tu vitu. The fact that you've come from Nai,
and I think that's
another thing.
That right there, that has something to do with
This
poverty,
poverty
because
thing, yeah.
because Nairobi, I think, has always been the ambition, or like
It's
this
like-
is
it's-
this
it's
is
like-
where we aspire to be.
It's like trying to make
Yeah.
if you can make it living in New York, going to New York.
because growing
I'm not
up,
saying New York is bad, but
because
just imagine, think about it.
growing up when mulikuwa watoi, and then you see your relatives who are coming. You grew up Ocha, and then you see your relatives who wametoka Nai, and they're now coming there. So Nai was very aspirational.
Very.
So I think that's part of the reason why some people would be better off, like going back to homes that they have in their rural areas, but wanangangana na Nairobi, because they feel like going back ni kind of kama kurudi nyuma.
Me, I used to be bullied by even my own relatives. I mean, not bullied, but unachapwa banta. Ile adwa Nairobi ni moka. Because watu wa Nairobi wakikuja, there's a way you're going to be treated.
Yeah.
You are you're gonna be served, you're gonna be
Yes.
ushered in.
Yes, you'll be babied.
You'll be babied
Yes.
like
Yeah.
a nonsense. Because umetoka.
Umetoka
Nai.
Strungi is over.
Strungi ya wapi wewe?
Strungi is over.
Wewe.
Itakuwa madhiwa.
Maziwa kwanza inakamwa ng'ombe, inakamwa huko. Don't forget that you're bringing in goodies. Unaleta mkate, unaleta kasukari.
Umeleta dough.
No, ni madhi ameleta.
Yeah.
Yes.
Lakini sasa
Yes.
wewe mwana mtoto
Yes.
wangu shianashi yakwa.
Yeah.
Yeah? So you're treated different. So there's that thing of and I think we've discussed this before. There's sort of a kaudo something non-Nairobians feel towards Nairobi people.
There's and that's one that should be a topic on its own, because
Yeah.
sometimes when as Nairobians we speak,
Because
tutaanza kuambiwa ati nyi mnajiona sijui nini, but then there's a resentment that came with towards people from Nairobi,
of course.
because there was that assumption that that tulikuwa tunajiona sisi ni bora kuliko wale wengine.
Let me add more fuel to the fire. Even here in State 2.
And it's still there.
And by the way,
I get very shocked.
You get mocked because, being from Nairobi, you haven't bought a Caproti, you haven't built. But those guys, wamejenga, they've got, they've pulled, they've made. So for them, nyi watu wa Nairobi.
Yeah. Where's your kafroti? Now, I think So I think you
Should,
know
we,
like
should I add more fuel to the fire?
wewe utaadd fuel but mi ndo ndapata hiyo fire.
How?
Mi ndo ndapata hiyo fire.
How?
I don't know how it
His
happens.
DMs get hot.
Oh, they do.
They get hot.
Oh, sizzling.
But you see, I think like, and this is just generally with everyone. We can even say, you know, like someone who's grown up in New York and maybe someone who's grown up in Alabama, aspirationally, they're gonna look at things differently. Now,
You're a state spokesman.
no, I'm just trying to be cautious with the language I use. Aspirationally, people are gonna see things differently. Now, unfortunately, some of these things that sometimes people tend to run towards kuonyesha, you know, like I have an apartment in Kilimani, or I have this over here and over there. Sometimes there are some that are good, sound financial investments. Some of them, and this is now me speaking financially, some of them are very bad investments, but the investments that give you a lot of social capital. Jamaa ametoka mbali maze, siku hizi ako na apartment Kilimani. You know, so it gives you a certain social capital that you may never have had growing up. But, you know, like maybe for those of us who might have grown in Nairobi, we sometimes don't see value in having that social capital of being told that you own an apartment in Kilimani. Now, even within Nairobi, let's just stay within Nairobi. There's people who maybe grew up, because there was also divisions within Nairobi.
Of course.
There's certain people who maybe grew up in certain parts of Nairobi, and then there's that feeling of I want aspirationally, they also want to
Move to the other side of
there.
Uhuru Highway.
Yes. Move to the other side of Uhuru. There's that aspiration whereby sometimes unafika mpaka point, you know, like they even mpaka want to sanitize their kids, anataka mtoi aonge English peke yake.
See,
na unaishi Nairobi.
And it is done here.
Yeah, you know, Stato I can understand, but this is also happening in Nairobi. Mtu anataka tu mtoi aonge English peke yake.
That is it.
Yeah.
Usiongee
Ongea tu
Kikuyu
English peke yake.
ama whatever.
Yet you live in Nairobi.
Yes.
You live in Nairobi. You're gonna go to the hostile streets. Na hizo ma English zako how far it's gonna take you. Yeah. So this was something that was happening, and I think in this search of social capital, sometimes people tend to make bad investments. There are some kafrotis or some houses that are being sold along Kiambu Road, because Kiambu Road, that now has become the new area of the Joneses. There's a part of Kiambu Road, very beautifully made houses, very nicely built, but Nangalia Bay, I'm like, God damn it, you know, like, why am I spending 30 million or 40 million, you know, like on this, you know, like this doesn't make any sense. Financially doesn't make any sense. I mean, it's one thing if you want to go live there, but the other thing is that, you know, like you buy that for 30, 40 million, you're not going to get that, you're not going to get that rent that you're looking for.
No, you won't.
Your 1%. You know, your 1% rent, you know, like you bought something for 50 million, you're not gonna get 500,000 in rent.
You're
yeah, ROI, you'll be losing vibaya sana. But then because of a search of that social capital, mse anataka runda maze lazima nionekane huko. And I think that's where maybe you get a benefit if you don't see value in having that social capital and you're just looking at investments in as far as what is it going to give me a reasonable return? That's the way we should be looking at it. But because of search for that social capital, unaona mpaka certain new apartments that are being built wanaongeza ma fancy name like sijui what heights, sijui kahawa heights, at sijui.
But again, I think also there's an aping that we Kenyans love to do. We love to ape a lot. And, you know, that goes to your point of naming things like crown, you know, those heights, those whatever.
Sapphire.
So you unataka, you want to keep up with the Joneses. You want to be seen as where ukombele. You know, if there is career, if there is you know, got a place over there, you know, if it's whatever it is, you want to copy, you want to paste.
Yeah.
Whatever it is. You know, if it's food, you know, like somebody all of a sudden guys want to do cigars. There are people here, me myself included, their place. Unakumbuka Dreams, Love Nightclub.
Oh, Oki Street.
Oki Street.
MZ, those were my streets.
Those are your streets.
Hey.
You see, for me,
Oki Street.
for me, I was comfortable just going to CB and I'll be sour.
MZ.
But I used to ask myself,
Hey.
But I used to ask myself, there are places you're gonna go, or there's a certain type of place that you're not going to go, even when you're here. So ideally, let's say like Oki Street, if you go and then you unaingia VIP.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
There are people who do that.
Yeah.
But there are the people here who will never do that. They will not go there. But this same guy ataenda
home.
Ataenda Mercury.
Yeah. I know.
Unaget?
Yeah.
So something that you don't do here.
It's the dollar. I can floss.
So again, is it that thing of is it maybe that poverty thing in the back of your head that you want to, that you're like, you know what, I have to show guys I made it. So me, when I land straight Mercury ama ni wapi kwengine ama Excess ama Kempinski, whatever, I'm giving guys shout
Milan.
out. You know that one. I mean, what is that?
The funny
like,
thing, Miss Jawai attend Kempinski, but people have talked so much about it. I feel like I've been there.
But see,
Never
that's
even
what
been
I'm
there.
saying. So
Yeah.
these are probably guys over here. So is it?
Ali's money is not being spent in campaigns.
Never.
So
Never
again,
ever.
is it again? You know,
There's a
is there a childhood poverty that you kuna ka trauma kiasi that you wanna show guys because you know
there's
that's what I'm asking,
there's a possibility
because things that we don't do here we end up doing over there, you know, like
but again you also have to think about it. I don't think it's necessarily the poverty thing, but the issue there also is that your money stretches further, so you have the ability to do certain things that you can't do here just because of the money stretching. Okay, right? Now that's one way of looking at it.
Okay, you know what? Okay, let's look at chupa. If you go to Oki or whatever, chupa it cost how much?
So me now most you asking the wrong people.
A minimum
no, tuseme hapa tu hapa
between $300 to $500.
Wacha tuseme so tatu.
Okay.
Dollars.
Okay.
Ukitisha chupa, let's say if you go to 254.
It depends on what you're getting, right?
Yeah. So let's say you're getting,
if you're getting a 15-year, it's about $150.
So half the price.
So half the price. So
Yeah.
it goes.
So
it
again,
goes a long way.
Again, it all depends on what is your pocket. You get what I'm saying? Like, so what is your pocket? And so whether you're gonna get it at the club or whether you're gonna decide that you'll actually go to a liquor store and buy it and then chill and have a get together in your Airbnb, you know. So
because another,
but we do have the ability to stretch, because of the difference in currency, right?
Right.
So we have the ability to spend, and for things that we probably over here would never ever have done.
Right.
Think of it this way. You may even rent a vehicle over there for at least 30 days.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas over here, you're not renting a car for a week.
Not even 3 days.
And you know, and so there's some things that
And you're not only renting any vehicle.
Yeah, it's an SUV.
You're renting a vehicle with social. What did I say again? Back at your word that gives you social capital. Yeah, in the society. Yeah, you're not renting. So you're not renting a small Toyota.
There's some things that the money allows you to do. You know, like with those Airbnb things. You know, places to stay, and obviously there's only so many places that you'll stay or that you're not paying. Like, let's say, hypothetically, if you're a Nai person, maybe you go to Nai, maybe mom is still there, or there's a home that you can still go and sleep in, right? But once you leave there and you're going Ocha or you're going wherever, if you haven't built, you know, like you were saying over here with the chaps who built, you're gonna have to stay somewhere.
Right.
You're gonna pay for that.
Right.
Wait, you're going Ocha. What do you mean? you're staying.
Okay, so like
I mean, you're
let's
going
say-
out hata kama you haven't built. Don't you have people there that
Sasa
you can
now-
stay with?
again, every home is different.
Okay.
So me, I'll give example of our home.
Mm-hmm.
As guys, our home, there's literally nobody who lives in the home.
Okay.
Like in our home, literally
So
nobody.
it's an empty house.
It's an empty. So our ocha is basically like my dad and his brothers. They all built in the same
In the same
homestead.
boma, yeah.
And so see ati watu waliambiwa ati we build there. So they were told you build there, but they didn't fence the individual. So fence ni moja.
Okay.
So kila mtu akona hao hapo.
Yeah.
Right? So that means my mom, my aunt, like whoever is still alive. So
Yeah.
all the brothers are gone. So the kids, then now at that point, where are you supposed to build? So normally, munambiwa, okay, you build there, you build there, you build there. Or nimpaka utoke nje ya boma. Then kama nje ya boma kuna udongo, then you'll be told, okay, you build there, you build there, you build there, and so on and so forth. Right? But for us guys, our shags now, where my mom's house, or should I say dad's house is, we only have a caretaker who lives
Okay.
in the boma.
Okay.
So when I go shags, I have the option of staying in the home.
Yeah.
I choose not to because I support my cousin who has a hotel. in
Okay.
town.
All right. That makes sense.
So for me, and then it's easier. There's food over there readily. I don't have to worry about CGO. Someone has to cook for me. Blah blah blah. There's a hotel. Kila kitu kwa hapo. So that's just a choice that I have taken, that
Okay.
I've decided to take.
Okay,
Now,
understood.
if it was in other circumstances, then ningesema wacha nikae kwa hao ya mother, ama I go to my crib. Sasa me, I've fallen on that that pendulum of sijabuild.
Okay.
So the land is there, I just haven't built.
So kuna vile some people look at you with a side eye.
Boss, what do you mean some people? Nimeshaangaliwa wewe, you are grown. What the ham sandwich? How come you don't have? No one is understanding that I actually I have a house over there. So me coming here, this is vacation.
Yeah, I know. I mean, there's no value.
They want you to build.
No. Because when I come, I should not be in a hotel. In fact, my cousin who owns a hotel even doesn't want me to stay in his hotel. He's like, yo, you know what? In fact, I have a home over here with like a cottage. You come and stay in the cottage. But I'm like, okay, so if I go to his home and I stay in his cottage, I'm still going to go through the same thing that I was going through in Shags. Where I have to now go look for somebody to cook.
Yeah.
Sijui nini. It's fungua gate. It's just a whole. So it's easier for me to go that route.
Yeah,
For others, it's different.
Afro Jamaican hapa anasema, I saw people at Onyx buying $800 bottles. Why? I'm getting land for $1,200. Why would I buy alcohol for 6 to 2K? I saw that in Kenya. And hiyo mambo ya floss is very big in Kenya.
He's right.
And this is now Afro Jamaican seeing this as an outsider.
And it's not even necessarily that $800 that he's saying is that a diaspora guy is buying. It's actually a local.
Yeah.
But you also have to figure out, okay, if this local is spending $800 on this bottle, they may have some income. Because a lot of them who are spending at that level, actually, when they're sitting there with chaps, they're making money. That's another thing that I realized. So some of those things that you see, don't let them fool you.
And some of them are wash. Some of them are wash
No,
people.
Ali, you're right. Whichever way it is, all I'm trying to say, though, is that there's money that is being made elsewhere. And so whether it came in one way and it's coming out, so like, yes, I have to wash it or I have to take it this way. And maybe even I'm in collusion with the owner of the club. So I'm going to come and it's me who's spending. It will come out, come into your coffers, but then you'll bring it back to me. And you'll bring it back to me at maybe Sotano.
Wow, now there's
You know what I'm saying?
there's someone to Chana Sema, all these so-called these so-called socialists, I think he meant socialites. All these so-called socialites and influencers and the social equity seekers. And then let me see what else we have here. There's been so many comments.
type words.
Yeah, those are so many comments that have been coming in. Steven JJ hapa nakubaliana, mimi nasema stolen money. And then Afro Jamaican says, I would want my social to be earned by the good I have done and not by flossing. But I'm sure people see that very differently in Kenya. And then Washeki hapa anasema Kenya inherited the social class and elitism of our former colonial master, and we have taken it to the next level. You go somewhere with Adudu, even the Wochi disrespects you. Lakini show up na V8, wewe ni Kiongos, Madam Big Bazoo. Yeah. Mi unaona like the time when nilikuwa na bado niko nayo, my when I was in Kenya and people were talking about their cars, me I proudly talked about my Hyundai. You know, your time bado na drive Hyundai, but I proudly talked about it. And you know, like there's someone who actually came kando na kaniuliza, you know, like, is everything okay huko? Why you know, like you've been there for so many years, why you
wow.
Yeah.
You were pulled over.
Yes.
After that conversation.
Yeah, someone
Did they
actually
know that you bought that car almost brand new?
But you know, the you know, like
Na ilikuwa cars.
me I could not, because you see at the end of the day Mimi, like I wasn't even seeing the point of the conversation. But then I came to learn that the car you drive in Nairobi matters a big deal.
Yes. So
That's what I came to learn.
Ali, you're so right.
Before you get there, before you say that, over here, comments hapa ni mob more than ni Brian Binyambo, karibu sana. He says, I'm watching. So he's watching our show with closed captioning on active. When he says Kerea inaandika career.
Closed captioning cannot capture the way Kenyans speak.
No, it cannot capture the way one mic speaks. So what did you say for Madhogodhanios?
I don't know.
Brian Binyambo, Madhogodhanio. I don't know what the CC is going to say.
Sema yo CC imesema nini?
Mother M.
We inherited social class. Oh yeah, you read that. There's a comment over here I wanted to read. I think when we're talking about, you know, the concrete jungles that are coming up, like they're building up flats, but even toys. You know, remember how we used to have wide bath of play area, kwenda kucheza ball, bricky show, whatever.
We used
Now
to have
there's this concrete jungle.
with oil in it
Yeah.
and sticks, and we would be racing, and
Yeah.
we would have safari rally, and we would build motifs out of the plastic oil cans and shape it,
and you know what,
use slippers and
what I don't understand about these concrete jungles, you know, like you go to certain spaces and you find a lot of them empty. So you're wondering, you know, like
who owns this?
Who owns them? Because because they're building all these buildings and they're not even they're coming up.
They're coming
and that's
up.
the reason why when diasporans go, there are plenty of Airbnbs available.
Yes.
Yeah,
plenty.
because
You don't even have to look from here. You can go land and you'll get it within 6 point Apple from airport as you're waiting for your bags going around.
And then, you know, apparently kuna brokers wengi where you don't even go directly on the site.
Yes.
Yani people in Nairobi have their own contacts for Airbnbs wendi kwa site because site inachukua commission. So there's mtu tu unapigia agent na inatayarishwa.
Unatumiwa code.
Yeah.
Na unaenda unaingia unaambia wochi code boom.
Yeah.
Now
do what you gotta
do. I'm gonna read this comment. Nataka these peeps who buy stuff to show others wamefika ndio hao watu wakukuja Kanairo.
That's DJ Tucha's opinion.
A comment.
And it's his opinion. It's not a reflection of the One Mic Show.
But we
there's an element of truth. When you look at, let's say for example, most of the guys who probably have come and are representing certain areas of, let's say, Nairobi.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sana ni watu wakukuja.
You're talking about the population of diasporans.
No, politicians. Let's say like now for example, let's look at politicians, let's say in Nairobi.
Yes.
When you look at guys who are standing, guys who are, let's say, guys who are formidable.
Yeah.
Ni watu wakukuja. You can't say ni mse alizaliwa Buru.
No.
Unaget? Ama ni mse alizaliwa Umo.
Yeah.
If there are si wengi. Lakini watu wengi ni wakukuja.
Very few. Yeah. It's very few, and for some reason.
Ni watu wa nje.
Yeah. And for some reason
I never thought about that way.
That was very common with Nairobi.
Somebody brought that up and I was like, because he said, you think about it. Watu wakukuja na wakikuja wanakujanga na fujo ingine. They don't want
88 points to prove.
They're not going back.
Yeah.
Hawarudi yuko.
Yeah.
And you brought up the story that at some point probably we're going to talk about Shannon Sharp. Wametoka mbali.
Yeah.
him, he can see forward. There is nothing else.
There's no turning back.
Hiyo kulala njaa, kulala bila stima,
Maji.
kulala bila maji, choo huko unaenda nje. But now you have the ability.
Viatu ambazo hata unaweza vaa, si zile umepewa na sijui nani.
Kwanza ni kiatu pengine ulikota ukapelekea funi akatengeneza soul.
Pengine hata salvation. I'm just talking about
salvation
like, no, not us,
yeah, but those are the things. So it's funny that he says that in one aspect, those guys, their determination to succeed
is relentless.
It's even higher than us, because than guys who are, let's say, born in the city, because you cannot say that you lacked. You can't, when you look, wezi kasema ati ulilala nje.
For us who were born there.
Yeah, ulilala nje.
For us who were born there, because there's another generation who will tell you a totally different story.
Yeah, because now things are changing now. Things are changing now. But
I think I would say like even third or fourth wa Kibich. Wale wa sasa ile ghetto yenyewe imekuja imeingia Kibich, because Kibich sasa ile ghetto yao wagana stretch kutoka Langata all the way.
Yeah, now there's a kijiji in Langata.
It stretches all the way.
It's all the way
into Kibera as you cross the bypass, because there's a you can get from Langata to Cabs in 10 minutes.
Yeah, with the bypass.
10 minutes. Uko nyuma kuna kaka barabara shwa out
inside
Cabs. You took out over there Cabs. In fact, you blink and you're like, what? You mean I'm here already?
And I think also part of the reason why, for example, Nairobi has never gotten proper political representation is because most of the people who come to represent Nairobians, with the exception of very few, like the likes of maybe Ken Okoth, the late, there are very few.
True.
But most members of parliament who represent Nairobi, because it's kind of like a tribal.
They're not native.
Yeah, they're not native Nairobians, because it's kind of like a tribal monopoly. It becomes very problematic. Like how watu hawaelewani. So you see, mtu kama Jalas, for example, and maybe he's doing a great job, I don't know, but akikuja, he's representing people in Nairobi West, in South Sea. To me, Jalas doesn't feel Nairobi West, doesn't feel South Sea. And even now, to the young people who are growing up there, I don't think they have that identification with him, and that's why it becomes difficult to make that that connection.
But even though he struggled in Nairobi, he struggled in Nairobi.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
And so maybe if you look at it from that perspective, that he knows the struggle of the common struggler.
But think about it this way: if I go to Karachuonyo or Bondo, just because I went there, I got a job there, I have a business, and then I decide now nimeelewa mambo ya watu. So now let me represent.
But that's what happens. That's what happens. That's what actually happens here. Either somebody who was there in business, either somebody who was there doing something, whatever it is that brought you in that place, and you stayed there for a long time. So that you get acclimated to the conditions and the things in that area. That's what normally ends up happening. Like for us guys here now, we've lived in this country longer than we've lived in Kenya.
Yeah, absolutely.
So we cannot go back and say at mimi ni mse wa Nairobi West. You will go back and say when ni mse wa Nairobi West, jamas will laugh at you. Si kwa ubaya, but yes, when ni mse wa Nairobi West, but you cannot talk the same lingo with them. But then now, over here, our local area, we can talk about this area because this is where we have been for the last, 20 years. So it's something that somebody can. We can now even say, okay, I'm gonna go stand for office because nimekuwa hapa. I've been in the trenches. I know what's going on and I've seen certain things coming up.
Yeah. DJ Tuchapa anasema there's nothing wrong kama wewe sio wa Kanairo, but you're having a point to prove ndio doesn't make sense. Kula pesa yako polepole, sio kama Mike Sonko. So
and we all know Sonko is not from Nairobi.
There's one of Ali Badawi, you are saying to say all our representatives ni wase waocha, so they can't relate na shida za Bontao kama kina Slay. Huko wanachapana makumbo huko kwa nini?
Yeah.
I'm not going to answer. I'm not going to answer that one. Slay kwanza she comes with nini. Her elbows come out with the ninis, makuchas. Yeah,
Damn.
it's an elbow, but
So it's like that.
Yes, ushapigwa hizo kumbo za bako. Sasa zile tunakuja nini ukapigwa hivi.
Either is tacky.
That's
But
slay.
but I guess another thing that has, you know, and I think we mentioned this earlier, social media has actually really now
Amplified.
amplified.
It has messed stuff.
It has messed
It
things
has
up.
messed stuff
Messed
up
stuff up,
so
sir.
bad, and then it's become the norm.
And then
And that's the thing.
has
I'm
been
like,
normalized.
Do people realize that it is not normal for you to post that you're going to take a poop? It is not normal. It really is not normal.
it's not.
But for that person who grew up, yani because now we are pali tumefika tuko kwa ile generation ya watu wamezaliwa na
Kwanza
social
sitting on
media
a gold
Gold toilet.
Yes.
Yeah.
gold toilet that is flashable and can wash.
Yes. But there.
But I think also what social media does is there's certain people who see that and they tend to think that's how people are living every day. So now they start
They try to
spending
emulate.
They start spending the little money they have to try and emulate that, and you never catch
It's
up.
a farce.
You never catch up. You know, like when you go to pages Zakina Natalie Tewa, who are constantly, you know, like in hotels na nini. These are people who might be getting paid to
Yes,
advertise
to actually
those hotels.
show up at that hotel.
Yeah.
And, you know, wear this or wear that and blah, blah, blah. And, you know, there's people who are getting paid, you know, from the different digital modes.
Yeah.
And there are people who are using those to advertise
Yeah.
clothes they are wearing.
But sasa we
Stili
unaona,
nini,
yeah.
nini, nini.
We sasa unaona mtu ameenda kapost at yuko Lamu Majlis, one of the most expensive, you know, like hotels in Lamu. Unaona mtu yuko pale, sasa unamwambia mimi lazima niingie huko ko Majlis. These places are so expensive, you know, like wewe uko kwa mshahara maybe ya 80k a month.
If maybe you got 35, you
Yeah.
know your 80k is a lot of money. Uko 35.
Yeah, and then
Because
now
the average salary, the average, hata ifiki 30.
and then now there's pressure also when it comes to relationships. Because dem pia anataka kupelekwa huko because ameona fulani amepelekwa huko, yeye anajua wewe ni hustler, unang'ang'ana kupata ile kidogo uko nayo, and then na tena anataka kwenda na flight.
Gathe, I was talking to another a young bro of mine, a young bro, I'll call him young brother. He's like, one Mike, you guys are lucky. Nyima bibis and you guys, the women that you guys deal with, afadhali wao. Sisi tuko na hawa masocialites ni vinyangarika kabisa. And especially when he was saying that, you know, he's about 30, 31. He's like, mi hata sijui tutafanya nini kama majamaa. Cause ebu angalia, hatuwezi kapata mabibi. Kids, all madem wote wako Instagram, wako Spice, no, inaitwaje? Snapchat, sijui TikTok.
No.
Ati you know what he does? Ati
Yeah.
they do. Ati you can go in there as a mubaba and say, yo, what's up? Hey, you see a mama ya Chilek, you inbox, yo. Say, fly yo to Miami, what's good? Dem atasema sawa.
And now you see there's that economy of mubabas, you know, like financing these Instagram lifestyles. And then now this is the expectation that now, you know, like some you know, like certain women have, that this is what I'm expecting.
But just look at Instagram.
If you can't provide that for them, you know, like you don't qualify.
Look at Instagram or Snapchat or TikTok or whatever. Like sana Instagram. What do you see? What are people flaunting?
Yeah, and then there's so much pressure. You know, and the pressure. Kumbuka ile video DNA released a couple of months ago, where he was just going, you know, the other pressure now is what school your kids are going to.
Yes.
That is so fundamental.
Keeping up with the Joneses.
Because think about it, your toy will be in school for 12 or 14 years, and then now ushaanza kumpatia appetite that this is the kind of school that you're gonna go, where mtoi moja fees ni 300k a term, you know, and you have 3 kids, so that's a
1
million.
liter.
That's 1 million.
Straight up home.
Hujalipa nyumba.
Yeah, hujalipa nyumba bado.
Haujakula.
Yeah, and that fees just keeps going
Hujalipa
up.
rent.
Yeah.
Gari.
Si ati ni mortgage in the rent.
Gari.
And then these are the schools where kids juu are going on a ski trip in Europe. Ama sijui ni wapi.
Wako na scouting trip uko Europe for 2 weeks.
And that ski trip is like 4K.
There's other social issues. There's other social issues that are gonna come with that you will not be able to to sustain. I always tell people, pima salary yako. You know, like, you earn 100K a month. That's 1.2 million a year. You know, kwa hiyo 1.2 million, school fees, I don't think should be more than 20% of what you earn. Na hiyo 20% pia tumeenda juu sana. So you earn 1.2 million, 20% of 1.2 million is 200 and something K. Hiyo ndio total school fees. So kama uko na watoto watatu, divide it by 3, because when you start you earn 1.2 million in a year, and then half of that is going to school fees. Something is gonna give.
Ali, the problem with even doing that madhafu for parents these days is they gave up on the public school system in Kenya. So they all know mtoto shule nzuri ni private. Na hii shule nzuri ya private inakuja na vitu private. Juu utalipa gharama ya school fees. Transportation, bus, ile bus ya kuchukua mtoi.
Where?
Pia bado unalipa.
Yes, hiyo ni kando.
That's a whole totally different thing. Ujalipa lunch, hiyo ni kitu ingine. When you add up all of these things, you're crying. Then kuna school uniform na kuna vitabu. By the time you add all of that up, those zile sako za wamama, zile za round robin, zile za unatoa 50K every month, and then you collect, if you're 10 of you, then every 10 weeks or something. So either munalipa either every month, ama muna collect either every month or collect every whatever, and then it goes around. But you're removing 50K every month. That's the money that keeps them surviving.
By the way,
iyo kutoa hiyo 30, 40, 50.
But now you see,
imagine.
This is where you have to make tough decisions financially.
Correct.
Apa Afro-Jamaican is saying, I may need some advice for my kids, but I don't have international school money. I think Washeke, actually, I once talked to her, and she has very good insight, because Washeke attempted to go live back in Kenya, then akarudi akatujoin.
Alijaribu Breban.
Alijaribu
Is it ISK ama ISL?
Washeke tuambie, but I think with Kenya, I think there's schools for every budget.
Yes,
there's schools for every budget. So just
you
know
can
your
even
budget.
get a teacher to come and teach your kids.
There's schools for every budget. So if you earn 1.2 million, 100K a month, 1.2 million a year, you know, your schooling budget, hata 20% nimeenda mbali sana.
Please.
Yeah.
Let me correct you.
Yeah.
Okay? That 100K is, have you included or excluded tax? You know, because see, tax is going up recently.
100K with the old taxes, utakula 75.
Okay.
With the new taxes, utabaki na 70. But let's just assume, you know, you are tax evader.
Your take home.
No, let's assume you're a tax evader, you take home 100K. Because tax evaders were koengi, you know, koengi sana. Let's assume you're a tax evader. You know, you've known how to earn your money without paying tax. We're koengi sana.
And you're talking about yourself.
I know, I'm not talking about myself. No, I earn my money. I pay my taxes. Hey, IRS, if you're listening, nishalipa tax zangu. But back home kuna tax evaders wengi sana. So 100K. And this is where I think, you know, like I also need to, you know, like at some point I need to you know, kind of also move my financial expertise back home, because I sometimes see, you know, someone they're telling me they're making a certain amount of money, and then ile skule nampeleka mtoto wake haitoshani na hiyo pesa ana make, because here's the thing, not everybody has to go to school in Braeburn. You just have to go where your money fits. So if you have, you know, like 1.2 million, and your 20%, I'm actually going on the very higher side, because you're already spending maybe 30% or even up to 40% of your income on housing. So unaona, ukienda 20% school fees, you've already spent 60% of your income, and you've not paid for anything else.
You have not just
you don't have any other money.
You're not paid electricity. You're not paid water.
So I think you have to cap yourself at that. If you're earning 100K a month, you know, like 20% is going to be 240K a year. So that translates to about 80,000 shillings a term. So you have 3 kids. You tafuta a school where you'll pay for those 3 kids your 80K a term. Kama ijatosha St. Mary's, go down a level. Kama ijatosha Makini School, go down a level. The schools, there's now lower cost private schools to cater for parents who can't afford.
Yeah,
Because zamani kumbuka private schools were those big names, you know, like
Ilikuwa
kina
one
ISK.
level. It was one level.
It was one level, but now there's lower cost
Kuna mingi
private
sana.
schools. There's now different tiers private schools, and there's some very good schools out there. And part of the reasons why I think some people prefer even taking their kids to boarding schools is because your hustle, you're moving in Nairobi, you know, like every day. It's first of all very expensive,
Are they?
and it takes up a lot of time. You know,
Hakuna
like
chakula, bili ya chakula gone.
yeah.
Bro, wacha nikwambie sisi tulikuwa tunaamka 5 tunatoka how 5:50 ndio tufike shule 7
8.
Yeah.
by 8 before parade.
Before the bell rings.
Yes. Because now remember because you're taking, so like now we would tunachomoka tumekuwa 59 tunaenda inatupeleka pale outer tunachukua 23 saa mpaka Westlands, then from Westlands we would walk to Westlands
Kagu.
primary.
Yes, Kagu.
Ni
Yes.
Kagu, utachapa Kagu.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there's no hatuna private bus ya kuchukuliwa ama hakuna gari ya kutudrop.
Yeah.
Now that, and then when we chomoka at like at 3 something, almost
3:40.
4:45 4
Bell is 3:30, then sijui nye.
unafika
Yes.
home 6.
Yes.
Because remember you're taking public transport,
Na
unaingia
homework-
pale
homework
ambassador
hujafanya, yeah.
homework tutafanya the next morning when we get there, we will copy.
Mnadab kwa ule msee
Whoever we dab,
anakaa next door.
tunafika home tunaenda kucheza.
Yeah.
Mother anaingia home 9:30
Oh
10
yes, so
kutoka
you have,
job.
yes, you have
So
time.
we've got time.
So I think, you know, like as a parent in Kenya, especially if you're the one paying school fees, let's say like you're the dad, maybe you're not together with the mom, but you're the one who's paying school fees, you know, like do not be bullied. Do not be bullied, because this is a commitment you're making because kuanzia sijui school inaanzia wapi, nursery, kindergarten or whatever. So let's say 14 years. So you're gonna be paying school fees for 14 years. Wezi anzisha mtoto wako high cost school and then umtoe uanze kumpeleka umrudishe shule ya ghetto. You know, like that's just gonna be
Yani muhadhara.
that's gonna be traumatic for the kid. So I think, you know, like as the one, whether it's the dad who's paying the fees or the mom or both of you are contributing to the fees, I think you have to be very firm. In Nairobi, where it is right now, people cannot afford to take their kids to schools that they went to, which is very sad and very dangerous. People can't afford to take their kids to that school. The school that I went to in primary, Moi Educational Center, miwa naisikia squeezy, it's like, yani it's become such an expensive school that that, you know, like I know a lot of people that I went to school with that are living in that are still living in Nairobi. They can't afford to take their kids there, you know. And it's very sad because it's become super expensive. It's become super costly, and that's just where you have to be very firm. Ikiwa your 20% of your salary is 30k, hapo ndo pali pesa yako imefika. Hata ikibidi upeleke mtoto wako public school, guess what, they may not be the best, but there's other kids who are going to those public schools and they're turning out okay. So I think that's just another very critical part.
I think ultimately at some point, you know, we will also have to involve our kids and our children in raising them, because there's also that part of imparting not knowledge but reinforcing some things, you know, arming them with certain knowledge that you have. Again, like you're saying, it's important to live within your means. 2, appreciate what you have. You know, you can always look at somebody else and say, I wish.
Yeah.
But ujui maisha yao. Because how many people have we seen, we are thinking, this guy is successful, this guy is on point, this guy's got the best job in the world, he's traveling, he's eating. Next thing unasikia, amejiingisha Mungu Airways.
Yeah, you know.
Amejitoa
uhai.
Amejitoa.
Yeah.
You know, and you're like, man, what? Because there's also that aspect. So that pressure builds a lot. And especially like in Kenya, I can imagine the number of, yani, you're trying to keep up with the Joneses. You're wondering what to do. Watoto utawapeleka wapi ni nini. So now all of a sudden unakuja unacheki nyumba, haya auctioneers ndio hao wamekuja.
Yeah.
Haya.
Kwanza Kenya, it's so embarrassing because
It is.
everyone is gonna know. And hizo picha za vitu zako zikiwa auctioned, they will sambaa social media in all different WhatsApp groups that people know you. You know, and to me, there's the advantage that we have living far away from home is that nobody here, you know, like you could be going through your issues, nobody sees them. But now when you're in a small community kama Nairobi, people you grew up together, these things are being seen. You know, huu mtu alikuwa ni mtu wa kwenda Mercury, but all of a sudden atumuoni tena. You know,
And by the way,
so
that
there's a social stigma associated with that.
There is, you know, there is, and that weighs a lot on people, because like now all of a sudden, unaona msee may disappear from even circles. You know, it's again pressure social.
Yeah.
Facebook, Instagram, maselfie, nini
Yeah.
nini. Tunabangaiza na bazoo hapa
Yeah.
Ali.
Ati
Then all of a
twende
sudden
Vasha.
naga
Yeah.
twende Vasha.
Stories za twende
Vasha
Vasha.
bound nini nini. Uko na mizi. Living the life. Waga there, kumbe you're living on debt.
Yeah, I know.
And I think sometimes, you know, it's just and again, it's the idea, you know, and I think it was because, you know, when you look at Akina Sonko, and you ask a very pertinent question, like, is it kuna trauma? And I think I honestly think that there is, because some people really want to let it be known.
Wacha
That
hata Sonko, you know, like when you see artists like Diamond Platnumz, let's start by the name. Two jewels. Mbona ukujita tu Diamond Platnumz? Diamond Platnumz. Already the name is very flashy. And then you know, like he was constantly, you know, like showing stuff, gold, magari, nanini. I can understand when you're doing it for the music videos, but for him ilikuwa ni kama okay fine, alitoka mbali sana huko Tandale, and he's always living in fear that if he doesn't keep constantly doing this, anaweza rudi huko Tandale. You know, there's that fear sometimes that comes with what if something happens and I have to go back there.
I think even Nani may have mentioned that Jalango at one point in time, and even I think Major.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Jalango was like he's never
knowing where I've
going
come
back.
from,
He
Yeah.
said he's not going back.
Sirudi huko. I'm not. So there's that drive, because so there's a trauma. There's a trauma that makes some guys fear
Live in fear.
kurudi huko.
Yeah.
Asha, ulikuwa unatupatia story ya Shannon Sharp. Hebu kwanza lay the groundwork.
Yes, so Shannon Sharp, you know, like he's a commentator now on Fox Sports 1. For those who don't know him, he's formerly an NFL player, a Hall of Famer. But his backstory, oh my goodness, you know, like after this show in YouTube, just find Shannon Sharp's story. They used to live in a part of Georgia. I don't know whether it's Savannah. I don't know what part of Georgia. Part of Georgia that ilikuwa ni huko. They were living in someone's farm. So they were given housing based on the mom doing, I think, the laundry of the people who owned the farm. So it was a shack.
So mamaka alikuwa Adobe.
No, actually hata hakuwa mamake. Was it I think it was the grandma. Was
Okay.
it the I think it was the
Possible.
grandma.
That
Yeah,
sounds
it's a
about
grandmother. It's a grandmother. Yeah, because the grandmother is the one who raised them. And there were so many in there. It was one room, you know, like it had no plumbing, it had no electricity. Like he said, you know, like when he was a kid, he knew if he wanted to go to the toilets, he had to go out. And that's just how they grew up.
Yes.
Him and his brother, you know, like, and that's why, you know, like when he was able to start playing, he was discovered. And then he started playing football, and then he started earning. So he had this very serious focus that I'm going to earn this money. We got to get out of there. And I'm never going to, you know, like I never want to go back, you know. So, and that's in the United States. Yeah, that's in the US of A. He was saying that to go to the school bus, they had to walk like 5 miles. And sometimes kume snow, it's hot, but you just had to go. That was the standard operating procedure.
To him, it was normal.
Yeah, to him it was very normal. You know, so like when you listen to his story, oh my goodness, you know, like up on unajua, and then you're living in poverty, in that extreme kind of poverty, in a country of affluence like the US of A, where you're not going to, where when you go just not too far, you're seeing all these flashy things. right in your face. You know, it's one thing if you're in poverty and everyone around you,
Yeah, is the same.
yeah. But
But
then
it's
when you
different.
just go,
It hits different.
it hits different. It hits different. Come to Baltimore. There's some parts of Baltimore City where there's boarded up houses, junkies, drugs, nini, and just a few blocks away, there's all this glitz and glam of Inner Harbor.
I'll give you this. There's a barabara called Northern Parkway.
I know Northern Parkway.
On one side, you've
Yes.
got Park Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Once you cross, it's not the same. Is it Reisterstown? No, it's Park Heights. Once you cross Northern Parkway,
Mm-hmm.
that neighborhood that you're getting into
Yeah.
is a Jewish neighborhood.
Yes.
Totally different. Night and
Totally
day.
different. Yeah.
Yes.
That's further up north, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So as in at the traffic light.
Yeah, further up north. A little bit past, what's that university that's on there? Isn't there a campus on Northern Parkway?
No. You're talking
Down-
about there's hospitals, there's
Hopkins.
No, not
down,
Hopkins.
down closer to the city. There's college.
That's still too far.
Okay,
That is still too far.
so you're way up.
So you could
'Cause you're way up.
It's on the west side.
Okay,
On the west. So at the traffic light, you unachomoka this side
Yeah.
as you're driving up, you're like, what?
Yeah.
You
It's so
can
sudden.
And then if you just cross over, totally different.
The change is so sudden. Then kuna kale ka neighborhood. That place has been so gentrified. This place that has easy cab rondo magari zisimove haraka. Iko pale kwa waterfront.
In a harbor.
Not in a harbor. There's in a harbor, and then there's come down across Pratt Street. I don't know how to describe it, but it's an area. Ni
Little
kama it's like
Italy.
an Adams Morgan. Is it near the power plant?
Nani. Well, it's that's downtown.
Yeah.
So that's pier by the pier. That's
the
Lombard,
pier,
that's
yeah.
Lombard Street power plant.
Yeah.
Kuna it has been yeah.
Kuna that area where it has that karaoke
Yeah,
road so
yeah,
that cars don't move fast.
Yeah.
Those
and actually they have and that you have the aquarium, you have
Yes.
Philips, the restaurant. That area, that pier.
Yeah.
Kumetengenezwa.
Yeah, I know that place is so gentrified.
Kumetengenezwa.
But then there's still parts of Baltimore that unaenda unakuta hizo boarded homes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you just go like now, for example, where Hopkins is, the hospital.
Yeah.
Just let's say we just go without, just not even just maybe a few blocks that way, that way. Difference.
Where?
Difference.
Yeah.
So you have the School of Public Health, Bloomberg School of Public Health, not even the hospital, School of Public Health. You've got some schools over there.
Yeah.
Right around there, they have nunuad a lot.
Yeah.
Gentrified. There's even a Marriott right there on
And Angie's saying, Humphrey, you're referring to Pikesville on Reisterstown Road. That's extremely gentrified.
So now Pikesville unapanda juu. Me, I'm
Yeah.
talking about from Park Heights.
Yeah.
As soon as you cross over Northern Parkway, Apo. And,
Yeah.
and like sometimes if you go up Kidogo, then the next street I think is Reisterstown Road.
Yeah.
So if you make a right and then you go up, so going up that road will take you towards Pikesville. Your sides, but your barabara ukienda,
Yeah.
you'll see a difference because as you move further away from the city, you start seeing Keria, and it's sudden. You're like, is in Manyumba, lakini across the street on the other side,
Yeah.
ni muhadhara brother.
Wow.
Ni muhadhara.
You know, like even when you look at
Yes,
parts of DC, you know, like the waterfront at the wharf, not so many years ago, you know, it was a very trashy place. Before they wharf huko kule tulienda birthday ya Mika. Not too long ago, that area, that's where Zanzibar used to be.
Where bado niko na nightmares ya hiyo birthday.
H2O. Zanzibar, H2O.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
It used to be clubs.
Yes.
Down
then
by
the-
the waterfront.
Yes, down there by the
You don't
waterfront.
remember
That's the
Zanzibar?
one.
Yes.
That's where Zanzibar used to
and
be.
H2O, yes.
Zanzibar H2O. Now you see, you can't even identify the place.
That's
Yes, that's
The
where H2O.
waterfront was redone.
It was redone.
It was redone.
because it was known for that.
Kumbuka ilikuwa 7th Street.
So there's
Main,
that,
7th,
and then there's
hapo.
that fish market. There's that
Yes,
fish
the
market. The
floating-
fish market
yes.
is still there.
Fish markets.
Yeah, the fish market is still there.
Yes.
But then now
What?
the area has been totally gentrified.
Yes.
Like you go there, you will not. You will
That
totally.
was-
Yes.
They
That,
stretched
that
it.
was
They stretched it. Yes.
that was sa unaona hapo pali tulikuwa, maybe that was a DJ booth in H2O. You know where we went with that Vietnamese restaurant where we went.
Because
yeah.
They used to have very good breakfast.
Yeah,
Branch.
but now that
Phillips,
whole area.
remember there was
Yeah,
Phillips
yeah,
over there.
well,
Phillips at the
You know,
waterfront.
just you know Zanzibar, the waterfront. They were just clubs, just
Yeah,
But
they
there
were
was,
just
there
clubs.
was now there was Phillips where you could go sasa kukula ile branch ya $27.
Now what
that was back in the day.
By the way, watu wa Texas na nini mkikam DC, make sure mekuja the wharf. Now you can even get a boat ride. That boat
That takes you to
that takes you to National
Alexandria.
Harbor. In Alexandria or National Harbor.
You
that
pick
boat,
where you wanna go.
That boat was actually meant to be a commuter boat. But people are using it now for glam. Because tourists are just using it. Mtu aendi pali popote, but they're just taking a ride. Alexandria,
water taxi.
National Harbor.
It's
yeah.
called the water
Or it's called a
taxi.
water taxi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, hizo ziko boring pia.
Yeah,
Hapo
it's-
ina haba.
It's called a water taxi.
But I think this is-
by the way, we also have them on Lake Victoria.
Just saying.
Just saying.
Yeah.
The Bay.
Just,
The Bay Area.
Yeah.
Homa Bay.
Homa
just
Bay.
me, I'm even farther down. But
Yeah.
Rusinga.
just saying.
Yeah.
I'm in the county,
Uh,
but I'm farther down. Yes.
okay, so I get it.
I'm in Homa Bay County, but
Uh.
I only deal with Homa Bay when I have to. I don't have
let's
to.
see. Kaiser Soze says, I was in Detroit and I saw places that were so bad, worse than anything I seen in Jamaica.
Oh,
or
that's
Kenya.
true. Yeah.
Soon you'll see an estate in Kenya called Hiopark Heights.
Oh, Ziko already. Sukari Heights. Ziko. Those heights, and they're already there. Oh, absolutely.
Allah.
Absolutely.
Allah. That's the only area housing market is good to buy. Lakini remodeling haiwezekani. And I'm guess what, Detroit?
No, in Detroit, I think Don Omar is referring to. I think he might be referring to either Baltimore ama sijui kama ni Detroit. Don Omar, please fafanua.
Ini Kumbo. Omosh, twende fishing hapo the wharf. That's le.
Slay wants to go fishing.
Uh-huh.
Somebody check her temperature.
Oh yeah, Omar is referring to Baltimore.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Baltimore
What-
City. Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
but
There's
Slay, I got you. Just
There's some places.
Yeah, I got
Unaenda
you.
hapo 25th Street, my goodness. North Avenue.
Baltimore City, I feel like some parts are sink or swim, especially for like real estate investors.
Yep.
Unaona bei ya nyumba iko poa, but you're not too sure how, if it's a sellable neighborhood. You know, like and Baltimore, you really have to know the area. You really have to have an intimate knowledge of the area, because unaenda some parts kama Loyola University. It's a university. It's a very nice university, but ukitoka tu hivi nje kidogo on this backside unakuta, you know, some neighborhoods unaziangalia like okay, huku mbona kuna kaivi, and it's next to a major university. And it's next to a major university, you know, like a private university. Yeah. Area Towson kuko poa. You know, like Towson University, yeah. Uko it's a nice area, yeah.
Morgan, it's getting better. They've rebuilt a lot.
Yeah.
They
Morgan.
sure have.
They sure.
They
I
sure
mean,
have.
they have
They
rebuilt.
have a beautiful theater.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
I guess as an architect, whatever, you know, Capin at one point in time, why? Kulikuwa kubaya. Capin State.
Yeah.
University.
Yeah.
When I used to go there, it was but yeah, after a while, you know, like
Ukaanza
you're North
kuchange.
Avenue, you're just seeing houses boarded. And sometimes you used to find, that's where we used to park. Tunapark hapo
But you
gari
know,
level tunaenda back.
houses being boarded, I sometimes wonder, is this a deliberate move that they make people? Because do people just get to a point where all of a sudden everyone can no longer afford to live there? Because you get your boarding houses,
I think I sent you something, but I think sometimes it's deliberate.
sometimes it's
Some
deliberate.
people buy and then they decide they're not going to do anything with it.
so that people
So that-
people
so
leave.
that-
the
price- city can-
the
so
city can condemn
designate
it,
condemn
something
it.
like that, or
can
something.
designate it as something.
as condemned.
No, something domain, not imminent domain. There's a something that
Yeah,
condemned, I
it's,
guess.
but they would take him over, yeah,
And then they'll be-
and they have
they'll
to be
be-
compensated for the, I
to
guess,
take
the
over
price
and
or
whatever. I think
Yeah.
that's what some
Yeah.
people do, because I think that's what happened. Like now, there's a time where Hopkins, you know, School of Public Health, like Hopkins is not
Yeah.
not the hospital, but it's around the same area
Yeah.
where the Hosi and the Keria, they're not far apart. But you can find that the area itself, dangerous.
Yeah, and then they need housing for students na nini, because I think that has high demand.
Yes.
So unakuta,
So like dorms, so they build, and then some of the students that are coming wana kamukuchu.
yeah, I know.
Wako na kamukuchu na
Yeah.
kwanza wengine wametoka China.
Yeah, by the way,
And
there's a
other
lot
places.
of Chinese students
and,
too.
And from UAE, those that
Warabu. Yeah.
wengi.
And like I keep telling people, like, especially if you're getting started here, don't get too obsessed with neighborhoods, because housing is the first thing that gets people poor in this country. So you become house rich but cash poor. There's nothing as terrible as that. Where unasema, I have to live in this neighborhood, I have to live in this county because my kids have to go to good schools. That is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. The typical financial advice you'll be given, utambua, don't spend more than 33% of your income on housing. But my financial advice, with me coming with an understanding of immigration and how we send money to Kenya. If you're a Kenyan, na unalipa school fees Kenya, and you have other things that you're paying for in Kenya, 25%. 25% is your number. So if you earn 100K, this is just a rule of thumb. Yeah. If you earn 100K and you're paying more than $25,000 a year, that's about $2,000 a month. If you're paying more than that for your housing, guess what? You're paying a lot of money. So you have two things you want to do. Either you look for housing that toshanas with your income, or try to increase your income on this other side. Because once you start especially getting to that 40% mark of housing, whereby 40% of your income is going to housing, you're now asset rich, cash poor. And there's nothing as terrible as that, because now you're at risk, like you're struggling to pay your mortgage or your rent, and at some point you will either be evicted or your home will be foreclosed on. So that's a number, remember. Right now, think about your housing situation. That's a good rule of thumb. If you're paying more than 25% of your gross,
not net.
Let's do gross. Your gross is 100K, and 25K is your number. Because I would have done 33, but the problem with 33 is for an American who is not paying a black tax. Hatumi pesa home, hatumi pesa za mazishi, hatumi pesa za, those things take up a lot of money.
They do.
They take up a lot of money. People easily do like $300, $400 a month.
And that is why I'm gonna be like, hey, guys, join these things, MBKO. It's opening up in June, even Baltimore, Maryland.
But you see,
MBKO.
but you see, people still join those and they still ask from changos.
No, they don't.
So,
No.
Not all, but the people who still wako na hiyo hapo.
Agreed.
And bado wanakula mchango isaidi.
No, yeah. It's sort of an unwritten rule.
Yeah.
If you're a member of that,
Yeah.
well, sawa. But if you're not, now there you can be like, you know what? Maybe because
My
sana
friend,
most of the
what Ali is saying is right.
Yes.
okay. So
You know what they do?
I won't argue.
You know what they do? The people who are not in the group are the target audience for the Harambee. Are we
Yes.
together?
Okay.
So
I am.
so you know what wako hapa ndani.
I
Sawa.
will.
Wewe
For the better part of me, I'm gonna be like, no, I don't think what happens.
wewe morali yako iko sawa, kwa sababu wewe unasema nikiwa hapa kwa hii group should be able to sort me out.
It does. So.
Hold on. Wewe unasema hii group should be able to sort me out. Huyu mtu yeye anaona hii ni opportunity ya kufanya nini? Ya kukula. I kid you not.
Some I will give you that. Some will do that.
It's
So some will do that.
It's a lot of
Unasema ukinyuria tusifungue WhatsApp group. Is that what you're saying?
You don't.
Okay, this is on
If you
record.
if you want, sawa.
No,
If you want.
No,
listen.
If you want.
Hold on. You don't have to. But there's people be like, no. Even if he said no, because chances are like what has been alleviated is the burden of ati kutuma mwili nyumbani if my body is to be shipped home
Correct.
or to be buried here.
Correct.
That is
Now,
not-
there's
don't worry about
so
that.
sasa now kuna hiyo let's say watoi.
wacha
Le-
mweke nini something kwa watoi
And you
Yeah.
see,
That's it.
and us as na mila na desturi zetu, what we will do is we'll say we'll give kitu kidogo
Yes.
ya kusukuma,
yeah
whether it's that
wakikuyu
one.
sema moshumari
Okay, sawa.
nail.
Okay, so whether it's that one of to do everything if you don't have, or to do kidogo, yeah, that we are showing respect as watu wako.
right
You understand? Because that's how we do. Right? But what you're saying is it's not necessary.
yes
So, but us, we would probably say, you know what? Either way, we are his boys. We'll give kitu kidogo, and we know this one tutaweka kwa mkono ya mama.
yeah kausa kama tuseme ni AWA mwili will be shipped
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes. That we understand.
Mwili.
But that's not putting kitu
Yes.
kwa mkono ya mama kutoka
it.
kwangu.
Got it.
Ama
Yeah.
kutoka kwa Ali. Ama
it.
kutoka kwa...
yes
So I get what you're saying. But there's the other element of
I get you now
kinyagarika.com.
I get you now
who say okay, sawa, hizi vitu zote zimefanywa, hiyo ni sawa, lakini hapa ni mpaka ni kule maguta I got to get. It is sad,
I know
and they're the ones who mess it up for others.
yes
Yeah, and hapa Washeke anasema people even budget for Kenyan funeral even when the
See.
plan is to bury the person here.
See,
This
you
happens.
see what she's saying, and she's very right. In fact, you'll even be given a date, a time, and a place where it will occur. Now ashajua hii kitu haitoki hapa.
You know,
It's sad.
hii
It's
kitu ya
sad.
you know, like mi kuna zingine kuna point inafika I'm like I can't. Usually I have a limit. You know, like I have a limit. Ikifika hiyo limit, that's it for me.
I'll say this MDKU is opening up in July members
MDKO is like
for it's like it's a chama it's a group
okay, so it's not a
Baltimore.
repatriation nini. It's,
No.
Okay, it's
no.
a group. Okay,
it's a group.
understood.
They you get a certain amount. It's not a whole amount, but it cushions you. So if you're
Okay.
a member,
Uh-huh.
if you're a member,
So it's if something happens to you,
if,
if
some,
you die.
if to you or your
Or the
family,
people who you have listed in that
The people,
beneficiary form.
yes. So whoever you have listed is, let's say
And
you,
how
your
many
wife,
how many
your kids,
is the
your mom and dad.
limits, blah blah nini nini.
So right now, your contribution per event, if let's say somebody who is listed, the contribution is $17
okay, but
per
how many
event.
$17 per. What do you mean per event?
Per death.
Per death. Oh,
So
so,
if
now everyone has to contribute.
Your
$17.
contribution-
everyone in the group.
Your
So
contribution
if there
is
are 400,
$17.
400 people
Yeah.
as
And then-
potential members, they'll give 17 per.
So you also get a certain amount. So I think initially it was 9. I think now it's 12K.
So you only
It's good.
pay if a death occurs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Now 400 people. What if only 300 decide to pay? You know.
No,
like-
no, no,
because you can't-
no.
You can't. There are rules.
Those are rules.
There are rules. So if
No, no, no.
Okay,
If
so
you
if only,
don't,
okay, if only 300 pay-
tunakutoa.
Yes, if only
Utatolewa.
300 pay, you'll be removed. Now
Okay.
the
Oh,
thing
yeah,
about
yeah.
it is
You-
this: if you have been a beneficiary of the unfortunate occurrence of a death,
Yeah.
you have to be with the group for a year, and it's like a commitment where basically nikawa unapiga sahihi kusema okay, as you get that money, it's you, it's
Oh,
akin
kwa hivyo
to
huwezi kupata chapa and then utembee.
no,
Okay.
no, tutakupeleka kotini.
If Kegora is willing to come,
tutakupeleka kotini
tutamleta hapa.
because wewe ushaandiki by virtue of you taking this money that we as the members
No, those
gave
ones-
to you
So
umepiga
those are
sahihi.
the rules that we need.
So,
that I
what,
need to
what's the
confirm.
difference? And what about our?
So our is
is
repatriation.
totally different.
It's totally different.
So what is this one paying for? Here $17.
No, it's,
what's the
it's,
difference?
It's
Yeah,
alleviating.
every member pays $17 towards bereaved members towards members bereavement, whether it's the member who passes or whether
if it's the
their-
if you're a member who has passed on, yours is higher.
but
yeah,
but
but
doesn't
let's say-
our do the same thing?
No.
no.
Don't they give you money when
No, no, no,
when
no.
one of your
Our
members
don't.
get
Okay,
bereaved?
our
Or they
don't.
pay,
Our
they pay
give
for
you
your funeral
money.
expenses.
No, what they'll do is they'll pay for your career. The money that you're given is spending. If let's say husband and wife and 3
Yeah.
kids, if husband dies, wants to be repatriated back to Kenya,
Yeah.
what's going to happen is from the morgue to internment, takes care of everything.
They pay for everything.
From the morgue,
Yeah.
right? So unatolewa morgue, unapelekwa funeral home,
Yeah.
from funeral home nini unamaliza whatever, you're repatriated, and then from ukifika huko to internment.
Yeah.
Our takes care of everything. Now, your wife and child or children, the wife, the spouse,
Yeah.
and the children, as long as they're not 18, watanunuliwa ticket, and you'll be given some spending money.
So basically the difference is that with this group, you're given the money and you decide how you want to spend it. But with they pay for all those pieces towards the funeral.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
That's what our does.
Okay.
So you're not going to be given a check, but they'll take care of you. These guys, they're cushioning the bump
Okay.
of, let's say, for example, I mean, they're not going to cater for everything, because let's say, I think for if you pass on, the body to be shipped back is about 15,000. I'm going to say between 12 and 15.
Yeah.
So now that is from the morgue, if the funeral home, preparing the body, the casket, whatever, and flying.
Yeah.
About 12 to 15,
Yeah.
right? That is what really gets most people. But if you're part of this now, let's say you're part of MDKO, if as a man and wife and 3 kids and the mother pass on,
Yeah.
what happens is, because somebody has passed on, there's a contribution, because money is going to be removed
Yeah.
to a certain amount now to be given to the bereaved.
Also, it has to be replenished.
So they could replenish
Okay.
$17.
Okay.
Initially it was 20.
So to join,
to join, there's a fee. It's once a year.
Okay.
And there's a fee, and I know it has gone up. But then you as a member, it renews every year.
there's an annual fee that you pay
Yes,
every
there's
year.
an annual fee. I think it's $50.
Okay. So that goes and stays in a kitty.
There's a
So that
kitty.
when an event occurs, the money is already there.
It's only when there's an event. But if there's no event, unakaa tu chonjo.
Unakaa tu.
Unakaa,
Okay. But you still pay the $50 a year.
You pay the 50.
Okay.
But it alleviates. Because
Okay.
like last year, full disclosure, last year, my contributions in the kitty were about 1,000 plus.
God damn. 1,000 plus.
$1,000.
So lilipa 50 and then 17
No, it
zikafika
was
1,000.
20.
Or 20 zikafika
$20,
1,000.
whatever it was.
So
yeah.
those are 50 deaths.
However many deaths there were. But you see, it's compared to giving how much? Think about that.
But you see,
Okay, so
you see utatoa hiyo mbao, but then you'll still be added to some WhatsApp group pale on the side.
hapo ndio sali
You can be added.
hapo
Yeah.
ndio
You
pale
can be
unapiga
added.
block.
Sasa hapo unasema,
Yeah.
okay, sawa.
Hapo ndio
Nitaka
pale
tu
unapiga
gari.
block,
Nikapa
because
tu
more than
gari.
likely where
Yeah.
he was added,
Yeah.
huyu mtu
Yes.
yuko.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
but seriously, you paid more than 1,000. That means those were more than 50. Where?
Because there's
Yes.
some, but you see, because remember, these are now, it is, let's say, a husband, wife, kids, right? So your husband, your spouse, your mom, your dad, and your siblings.
Also per family it's $150. Yani familia yako yote unalipewa $50 moja. Let's say like you have a wife and 2 kids. There's 4 of you in your family.
So the 50s, yeah. So it's just you. So you as the member, you're not paying 50 for each.
Also,
so you have 50
to
as
pay
so it's a 50 as a member,
as an individual.
It's you.
So,
but
so if
you
you
have
want
missed-
to include everyone in your family, ama just one person in the
it's
family
one
has to
person in
be
the
a member.
It's if you are a member. So if I'm a member,
Yeah, and then someone in your family dies, then
you have listed.
that you've
You
listed.
cannot just come and say, oh, my cousin, my first cousin on my mother's side. No.
So how
They've
how many
rules.
people are you allowed to list?
See your family, like if kama uko na bibi ama bwana, your kids, your brother, your sister, your siblings.
What about your cousin?
Wajisort, they're old enough.
What
Your
about
cousin, yeah.
what about your niece or nephew if you're raising them?
You have to have the rights or the custody or whatever.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, but
Because-
hakuna limit, kama uko na watoto 10 itakuwa
watoto
watoto
wako.
10 ni watoto
Ni
wako.
watoto wako.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Which I think is
different groups have different rules.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
Because this one, and I hope, because, I mean, they say, I think, Keguro. Utakuja hapa
ule Alan Mumoja.
Huyo.
Yes.
Huyo ni chairman.
Bwana-
Well, he's not chairman, but I think that's the guy that is.
Bwana Kimani.
Then he can also come and we discuss UDA.
you know
Kenya
that's,
Kwanza.
you know let me tell you a Kegoro story.
Before we wrap up.
Yes. You remember we were talking about the mathrees where we face each other
Yeah.
and those ones going to
Seven aside.
hizo za kwenda Embu.
Yeah.
Kegoro was dereva combo wa kutupeleka Carnival.
Atia.
Ask him how many times he drove Omosh to Carnival.
With your 7 aside.
Yeye ndiye alikuwa kwanza, yeye ndiye alikuwa nafunga hiyo nini chemba. Katu kwa hapo ndani na tumeshona huko ndani, tuko watu ka VF10 huko ndani na yuko hapa akiona barabara, anaona barabara kienda na yeye. Wewe unaenda, wewe uko huko nyuma, unaenda na yeye huko nyuma na yeye ndio anaona barabara. Unashika break mpaka kutoka Hurlingham mpaka Carnival, umeshika breki na kurudi same story. Wacha uchelewe, utawachwa. By the way, na wewe ndio ulitoa pesa ya petroli.
Ya petroli.
Na tuli split entrance yake. Juu yeye ndio dereva, yeye ndio yuko na gari. So you have to say, okay, you know what, we gotta do something.
You gotta get something for this guy.
But that's my boy. We go way back.
Like cassettes.
Way. So even you guys call him Kigoro, I'm like, what's his name?
Kigoro Kimani.
Yeah, that's my boy.
Wahenga walinena kilicho na mwanzo hakina budi kwa na mwisho. Meli imetia nanga. Let's wrap this puppy up. Poverty! Sorry. Omosh Fire!
Yes. As usual, we have had a chat. We have had a talk. We have thrown banter. We have been able to go back and forth. And in all of this, we still don't know whether puerosity is the one that brings out curiosity about bring out the manosity. With that said, we shall see you guys next week. Thanks for hanging in there with us, guys, as usual.
Next week.
What?
Memorial.
Next week ni Memorial.
Yeah,
So are you yani unajua saa zingine mtu anapiga madhafu zake na vitu wakazenera South by Southwest.
I thought ulikuwa mbele kama mfuko.
No bana, because you guys man, you confuse me. Hii schedule yenyu wagana confuse listeners. What you're hearing here is not endorsed by Omosh. Apparently the One Mic Show endorses it. Yeah, so we shall see you guys after Memorial Weekend. And with that said, our Mafans, thank you. You know who you are. All of you guys, you're the ones who put us where we are. Without you, there would be no us. And we thank you for supporting us. Like, subscribe, enjoy, laugh with us. Tell us where we need to improve, what it is that you guys want to hear us talk about, what you guys want us to share, what solutions and things that we need to put across to you guys that you think would be helpful. I must say that even not knowing, somebody called me the other day about something we talked about on the show. Sending money with something else other than wale marafiki wetu. I won't mention them.
We won't mention them.
Yes.
Kimeumana.
Kilikuwa kumeumana.
It has beaten each other.
It has
account
beaten,
ilifungwa. Na uni mtu analipa watu every month.
Wow.
At home. So alijaribu kulipa watu akambiwa sorry, you cannot send your, in fact it's not even your account is under, alisema your account is sijui under review, sijui I don't know what or something. Yake ilikuwa imefungwa.
Wow.
So guess what? We have been talking about other options here.
Yeah.
I sent him options. I gave him 2 other options. I know right now and a checker, but these are some of the things that we don't necessarily realize we do until somebody remembers that they heard you talking about it on the show. Then they actually reach out to you. You know, with even immigration related stuff, or you know, somebody trying to get their passport, or somebody having a problem like how to register their kids who are over 18. You know, interesting things, very, very interesting things, but we talk about them here on the show. And sometimes we know somebody who we can reach out to at the embassy or some other resource. So you never know who you're touching and how you're touching them when you touch them. And I want to send a special shout out to my good friend, my very, 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 very good friend, Terry. Pole. Terry lost her brother, unfortunately, our good friend DJ Terry. It's a sad time for the family. And Terry, we are together. Tuko pamoja with the entire family. We are with you. You will see us. So, and that's from me, from the entire One Mic Show. you know, we go way back, like I don't know, what is it called?
Babies and pacifiers.
Yes,
Or cassettes.
something like that. Yes. So it's sad, but with something we don't have control over. And condolences once again. With that, we'll see you guys after Memorial. Be safe out there, peeps. Tomorrow is not promised. Don't ever forget that. Tomorrow is not promised. And to that chap who is over there, CG on CG Forte Forte, please take your time. Don't come back quickly. Peace.
Okay. All right. Asanteni sana for everybody who tuned in. Pole sana Terry and family. Ndo hali ya maisha saa zingine. And I want to thank all the listeners who were tuned in. As a reminder, next week we're not going to be on air because the Memorial. I don't know whether there's something happening in Dallas. Dallas Memorial siku hizi hatusikii sana. You know, like I don't know whether ni COVID imebadilisha vitu na nini, but I think we just need to get to that new phase of reunions, Kenyan reunions here in America. So asante sana. Yes, you know, like we have a packed schedule in the month of June. We will start revealing slowly by slowly ni nani atakuja. So stay tuned. Na kwa haya machache, yeyote nitakaye kunipigia simu, nambari yangu bado ni ile 1-800 mteule. Operator akishika simu, mwambie unataka kusema na mjukuu. Na akikuuliza ni mjukuu yupi, mkumbushe ni mjukuu yule wa Masai. Because I'm Kenyan by blood, American by design, Masai by choice. Sichagui, sikagui na sibagui. Kwaherini.
Aiden, Daddy loves you. Jerry, Daddy loves you. Nemo, Daddy loves you. Until the other Friday, be blessed. DJ Machachari Budabos Kade. Togende.
Love is crazy. It's crazy, man. It's never insane. It's all good, though, you know. Ujumbe nimesoma na salamu nimezipokea, nami mzima afya nashukuru. Ila hali bado ngumu, lakini bado sijakata tamaa kwenye juhudi na ndoto zangu ulodai kuwa ndogo. Nimekubali matokeo na naelewa sababu zako za kuniacha, kwa hilo sitokuhukumu.